Spotify account.
I wonder if you're going to get warm over there. Bam, we're live.
At some point, I'm sure I will. Usually when cameras go on, warms up.
You start warming up?
And I get a little red too. It's weird.
A little warm. You didn't get red yesterday.
No.
God. I slept like shit last night because I was so high from the show.
Oh, no way.
I think.
When did you fall asleep?
I don't feel like I never did.
Did you see the video I made?
No. Paulina, good morning. Jay Hartle. Oh no. Is it the workout video?
It's the workout video.
Oh, is it on your account?
See, Jessica just said she just watched it.
Oh,
yeah, it's funny.
Why is she laughing? Oh, Mr. Weed, hi.
You want to know what's nuts is I tried to do something to see if I could use more popular music and avoid a copyright strike. And thus far, it appears as if it's working.
Why? Because were we playing music when I was in there?
Well, yeah, but I also just mixed a couple of songs up.
Yeah.
And now it doesn't know which one is which. So it's allowed to play in the background. And I haven't gotten
that's interesting.
Play
multiple songs and then hope one of them is fine. Mr. Ginn, hey. Oh,
hey, man.
Gin or Ginn?
Like drink.
Gin. Why
Gin.
can't I remember that?
It's okay. The immigration agents in early 1900s couldn't understand it either when my grandfather came from China. So,
hey, is it obvious if you know how to read? Like if you're smarter than me, like can someone just see that and be like, yeah, I understand the English language, and obviously with the Ginn, it's gin. It's not Ginn. What are you, fucking idiot?
No. I mean, other people who have my similar spelling, they pronounce it like not hard in Ginn.
Okay, good.
But,
all right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a bit of a, because my last name is supposed to be Yin. It's not supposed to be.
What do you mean supposed to be?
Oh, by the way, do you guys, Andrew Hiller, this is Aaron Ginn. Aaron, you know how like Discovery Channel has Shark Week?
Yeah.
Well, Andrew Hiller is also a YouTuber like myself. Oh, I said it. I don't think I've ever admitted that on the air. And and he's visiting me. He's here for a week for Greg's Broken Science Initiative. So I asked him if he would come in studio every morning.
Okay,
so
cool.
it would be Andrew Hiller week. Okay, go ahead. What do you mean? I think Andrew said, what do you mean it's supposed to be in?
Yeah. So my grandfather couldn't speak English whenever he immigrated, and so they just wrote down whatever it sounded like whenever he came over.
Oh, that's nuts.
Yeah. So actually, all of his brothers, I believe he has 7 brothers. They all have different spelling of our last name whenever they immigrated.
Onto Ellis Island that way?
No, they went through San Francisco.
My fiance just said something similar about why her name is spelled with a Y and not with an I. And that had to do with the same sort of process. When she was coming over, they didn't want people to know she was Polish or her ancestors.
Your girlfriend looks like a crazy foreigner. She looks crazy foreigner.
We were hanging out. We weren't hanging out. We were in a gas station, and someone goes, "Oh, you're European," and looking right at us too. We're like, "No, we're from the United States, as far as we know."
Yeah, she looks like she fell out of just right out of Helsinki. Like you take Helsinki and dump it upside down, and she fell out.
I'm not sure where that's at, but
the capital of
cool.
Finland.
She kind of, she does.
Aaron, tech geeks like you hang out in Helsinki. You've been to Helsinki, right?
I have not. No.
Really?
I've only done Eastern Europe, all of Central Europe. But
you've never had a meeting in Helsinki? Come on.
No. I do get invited to go to the what is called the human rights event that's in Norway every year. So I do get invited to go to that, but I usually don't go. So because it's in the winter and it's like super cold there. So summer in the Nordics are great. So one year I'm going to do Denmark to Sweden, and drive that route. So, but all just through all Europe, Africa, South America, Asia. So, but no, not yet the Nordic countries. No.
I'm looking for a picture of oh, there she is, of Andrew's girlfriend. So you could, fiance.
Bro, it's okay.
So that you can see what I'm talking about.
I was panicking that I didn't have this with me.
Oh, here's a picture of her.
Everyone needs their shaker bottle for
right. What do you keep in yours? Because mine's got a bunch of pre-workout, like 700 milligrams of caffeine.
I have a highball right now. That's mine.
Oh, I know people who really enjoy that stuff.
Doesn't she look like she just fell out of some Nordic country?
Yeah, she looks like she's from that show, those Viking shows.
Totally.
the Viking
Totally.
shows.
Total
I've always thought
Viking.
she kind of looks like Khaleesi with this blonde hair. If it were longer though, and I'd say the Viking.
Did she dye it or she did?
So when I met her, she was blonde, and then she dyed it red, and then she went brown, and now she's back to blonde. So there's a whole bunch of different colors going on there.
Okay.
Mr. Ginn, I don't know how to really describe you. I didn't like
It's
the
okay.
way
Most people don't.
I
He's
didn't like the
trying
way I
to.
described you last time. You are truly a Renaissance man. Art,
I
religion,
appreciate that.
tech, fitness, the subjects that you write about. I don't. It feels unfair to pigeonhole you, but I do put you in this rare air that I would also put my friend Greg Glassman in. That it's worth asking you questions about anything, whether it be like the style of high-rise pants or to what you think the future of AI is. I just feel like you have a good brain that could just process lots of different things from the mundane to the future to the past.
Yeah,
And you
no,
enjoy
I
it.
appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, it comes from having like a heterodox background in terms of like faith.
What's that mean?
It just means like orthodox, heterodox. So like orthodox would be like, wokeism to like I live in Boulder, so like being a Democrat, whatever is like widely accepted. Heterodox means like the opposite of that, so whatever's
Okay.
different. And like I wrote yesterday about courage, and I used the reference to Tyler Durden. And so I'm wearing a
Cool.
Tyler Durden shirt right now that my buddy gave me for my birthday. And that story of Fight Club, which most people who are like, Christian, they see this, and I'm an evangelical Christian, see Fight Club as bad, right? They're like, oh, look at this guy who's like a nihilist and absurdist and is like selfish and a narcissist. But if you actually like read what he's writing, or sorry, what he's saying, or it's a comic book, but like what he's talking about is essentially how systems in culture and society tell us to do things that we have no idea why. And other people will pressure you to do those things, and they don't even know why. And this whole system is developed and just kind of mindlessly pushes you through life, right? And so his whole point of Fight Club, like what is the actual point? The point is individuality. The point is like to discover who you actually are, and you have to break the entire system down to then you find who you actually are and what you actually want to be, right? So all of these scenes, like this scene here, right, is all about how Edward Norton, who's the actual only character, right? Although in Fight Club 2, Durden's not dead, by the way. Durden's alive.
There's 2 Fight Clubs. There's a Fight Club
Yeah.
2.
Yeah. So
Was it made into a movie, or it's just a comic book?
No,
Oh,
just
okay.
the first one. But the point of like these scenes is basically that Durden is destroying all of the idols that exist in Ed's life that prevent him from becoming the man he's supposed to be. And that's everything that happens in the movie, right? So he's actually like Durden is actually really consistent with actually his own philosophy that leads him to do really insane things, right? Because he himself is insane, right? That's like the whole kind of arc of the show. But for me, it was like kind of breaking free of these systems that like I was told to believe. And when I became a Christian really late in high school and started pursuing it more seriously in college, I basically saw how I was taught all these things in public school. I was taught all these things by my secular family. There were things that were just not true, right? And I had to from
That's probably too
let's say,
broad. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah,
will get to that though. He wrote an
Yeah.
article right before this one where he talks about that. That's brilliant. Hold on,
Yeah.
hold that thought, Andrew. Go on,
Okay.
Aaron.
Yeah,
That's a
yes.
great question.
Yeah, so basically, I decided to embrace this path of like, I have people who I love who differ with me massively on metaphysics, right? They differ with me significantly on philosophy now, on morality and faith, and so I had to basically determine how to actually like live my life now, right? That I could actually break free of what was actually established for me, take things that were actually good, to remove things I did not agree with or thought were bad, and build the life that I wanted to build. And that's like what Durden does. So No More Nice Guy Treaty is about this too, that I had to like break away so much of like what was defining about how like men today form their identity, right? They're conflict avoidant, they appease people, they use hidden contracts, they have massive toxic shame, they have a distorted view of themselves, they use appeasement and approval to get what they want. They're never direct, they're indirect. Like these are all things that I had to break free of from high school to college. And that's part of that's Durden and V for Vendetta, Ben for Brothers, like all this stuff. I was like on the sort of mainstream media side, but also like reading books from like early philosophers to like, you know, Rousseau and Augustine to you know, mainstream ones. And this kind of all led to this arc of self-discovery, right? And so yeah, this series, Numerous Nice Guys, actually been it's been really moving because
Dude, this is amazing.
Oh,
You're
thank you, man.
describing exactly what, like, basically what I've been going through the last 10 years. This is exactly how I was raised.
Yeah,
Kindness over integrity. It is horrible.
Yeah. So
it rots the soul and it emasculates men. It's crazy. Kindness over integrity.
Yeah. So
kindness over honesty.
So the point of like a lot of what men like struggle with today, which goes to like my friendship piece, which goes to like Durden and like the nice guy stuff, like it's essentially that they've been like really starved in mainstream society. And a lot of that is an expression of like long-term trends that we're just the end result of. It wasn't like this was like, oh my God, Obama happened and like everything bad happened, right? Like this is not this case, right? These are like cultural trends that were being established in the 20s and 30s, 40s, 50s that basically are reaching their sort of culmination. And one of them is a significant lack of friendship, right? And this is something that
significant what lack
of friendship, yeah,
lack in friendship. Okay.
Yeah, like so, like you know, you and I know both know Glassman really well, right? And he's like a friend of mine, and his life in his home is like open, right? And it's one of the most amazing things about him and Maggie is that it's just like this like open. I never know when I go to Glassman's house who's going to be there, right? And that's the fun part of Glassman, right? Is like I get to like you know I've met you and I've met all the doctors in his life and you know scientists and like it's
and
like
he'll have the guy out who paints his fence over for dinner. Hanging out. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, the
eclectic crowd.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to basically like live a life like that. And the only way to actually discover that is to actually have self-respect, right? And ultimately, the point of all the Nice Guy series, which I'm going to end here in like 2 weeks, and I'm going to end with Jesus Wasn't Nice, and kind of destroy the whole like, as you know, I'm a Christian, and the whole like Christian nice guy thing is like totally not Jesus at all. Like so, but the point is like self-respect, right? And self-respect is not self-esteem. Right. Self-esteem is like a faux sort of like nice guy thing where it's like, oh, just like believe in yourself. And like, and it's this illusory picture of like you having this projection externally that I am these great things. Self-respect is like, I'm good at this stuff and I'm bad at this stuff. I know who I am. Like, that's it. It's like, it's very simple, but it's really, really hard, right? Because you have to know who you are. You have to know what you want to do. You have to know what you not want to do. Right. And that's like,
that's
all
the
these
vulnerable piece you talk about too, right? Know what you're good at, know what you're not.
Yeah, and that then goes to like when you don't have self-respect and you seek approval and appeasement and self-flagellation, self-effacing behavior towards other people, which is what most men are taught to today. That the way they form friendships, the way they find a wife, the way that they get a job, get a promotion is to self-efface, is to say that like my expression of like getting approval from other people through being nice and kind and serving and all these things like will get me what I want. And I have to like, therefore, like these people that are being self-effaced too, right, have to sort of like imagine, sort of that like this is going to somewhat convince me, right, that like through manipulation of getting approval, that so nice guys will get these things that they want, right? And so the actual way to get what you want is to have self-respect. Be like, this is what I need, this is what I want. Like I'm willing to negotiate here, I'm willing not to negotiate here, right? And you're shocked what happens when like you're actually just direct. And you're just honest with other people, right? And you just say what you want, right? And of course, it doesn't mean like being the opposite of a nice guy is being a good guy. It's not being an ass. It's not being rude. It's not being obnoxious and an arrogant, prick, right? That's the opposite direction, a domineering personality, right? The actual is to be a good guy, right? A good guy is direct and is honest and is frank, has integrity, as principled, cares about people that he chooses to care about, right? And this all boils into like the one meaningful way that you can get encouragement to like become a good man is to have friends. And friends are one of my mentors used to say that like friends are for edification and for enjoyment, right? And friends push you to be better, right, in ways that is very underappreciated in our current society. And some of that is the way our like everything from like urban policy has designed that prevents friendship to like our media culture to like, like there's lots of reasons why we have less friends than ever before. But if you go back like 100 years ago, right, our culture was heavily dominated by these civil institutions, right? We're talking about like, Rotary Club and like bowling and like poker club and like gentlemen's club, right? Not the strip club, but like smoking cigars and like reading books together, right? And women had the same thing, right? They had all these other clubs they would go do, and they had this like we had this really tight knit DIDS culture, right? And
What's the word you use? Tight knit dits?
DIDS.
Dense.
Yeah,
Okay.
like yeah, like so like the social fabric between individuals who are non-familial, non-genetic attached, like attachments like family, was significantly greater, right, today significantly greater 100 years ago than it is today. And if you look at the trends in terms of loneliness and depression and addiction to substances, divorce, like all of them are also directly correlated to actually the decline of non-familial ties. And I think that is one reason we see so many problems here of like death of despair, lack of achievement, to men being listless and families being broken apart, is that these actually non-familial, non-genetic ties are all breaking down, like really severely. And you see this in the reflection of like CrossFit culture, right? And that CrossFit is essentially like a secular church, right? It provided this meaning and connection between non-familiar people around one single subject area that they had, rituals, you had common language, you had common clothing, right? And provided this structure for people to actually meet non-familiar connections and form bonds over each other, right? And that's one of the most amazing things about CrossFit, is that that's like a good thing, because people like need that like belonging to something. They can't just exist in this like empty void of like commercialism and making money and like just like vote for people who like, oh, will always leave you alone, and like go make some money here at this like corporate job and shop at Costco, and like have some resemblance of authenticity by going to Whole Foods. You think Costco is still corporate, right? Like all this like devoid of morality and meaning in our society, which is what I was raised with in high school and college, was like just transact and everyone will be tolerant of each other, right? Totally exploded, right? Everything has exploded. Like all that whole philosophy of neoliberalism and has like totally eroded, and like almost nobody believes it, but like it created all these like factional things of morality in our society that we're dealing with today. And so the aspect of like friendship is one of these like meat and potatoes of good free society that is gone, right? And if you look at, it's depressing. If you look at those numbers of like people who don't have anyone close to them, right? It is like it's devastating, right? It is utterly devastating. And the solution to, I think, a lot of cultural ills is actually like good quality, high quality friendships. Yeah, like look at that. Like it's just like, oh my God, like this is devastation, right? And by the way, if you go to other countries, right? Let's say I've been to Africa a number of times. Go to Africa, these numbers look the exact opposite, right?
Oh.
Yeah, like the exact opposite. Like happiness is directly correlated to also the number of friends you say you have. If you look at like country scores, right? And so we as a society have forgotten this art of like forming friends. We have a lot of buddies, right? Buddies are like what I say, friends of convenience. These are people who are not like really you're that intentional with. These are just people who kind of just showed up in your life, and they kind of will disappear at the same time. Like friends are like I would say Greg. Like I literally go see Greg, right? I'm intentional with Greg, right? And Greg and I will text things like the sort of telepathy thing, right? We text things we know we like about each other, right? We're honest with each other. We struggle with each other, right? We fight on the same mission together. We push each other, right? And it's like a side by side thing, right? Like couples, like are you familiar with like there's like 7 Greek words for love? Are you familiar with this at all?
No, go ahead.
Yeah,
maybe I am.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so the main 4 you think about are eros, philia, agape, and storge. Storge is family love. Let's say agape is God love. Eros is romantic love, and phileo is friend love, right? So
give me 1 second. Some of you are asking, how can I follow Aaron? He's private on Instagram. Where he's really active, where you want to find Aaron, is over on Twitter.
Yeah.
And this is his Twitter account, AARONGINN, Aaron Ginn, 2 A's, 1 R, Aaron Ginn. Crazy
Ginn,
active there.
remember,
That's
our
Ginn,
names.
son of a Aaron Ginn, and crazy active, very thoughtful, fun stuff. It's a fun account. Everything from stuff like this to predicting the future. Like I said, AI, his favorite recipe. I mean, it's fucking everything. It's so cool, and he does everything with intention. It's well vetted within his giant brain. Okay, go on. The seven loves.
Yeah, and so there's 7, but those kind of the main 4. There's like love, there's like playful love and things like that, but those are the main 4. So as you know, I'm Christian. So in actually the Bible, there's only 2 loves that appear: agape and phileo. So as in unconditional love, which is God, agape, and then phileo, which is friend love, right? And so eros love represents the romantic love, right? And that's the love of like basically what I describe the love as like face to face, right? This is like face to face love that you experience about like, getting engaged, having children, right? And the design of that love is to create really strong attachment to a single other person to like build a family, because like building a family is freaking hard. It's like the hardest thing in life to do, right? And it's also because that thing to do about raising children is the ultimate expression of 2 people to ever have the closest feeling of agape love, which is sacrificial love to your children, right? So you need that eros connection with another person.
The point of having sex is to make a love child. My mom taught me that.
Yeah, to have children. Let's be real. Like both from a religious perspective,
yeah,
and from an evolutionary perspective, right?
Yeah.
So like it works both ways, regardless of whatever your ultimate metaphysics is, right? So that's like this purpose, right? And so in our culture, we've forgotten the side by side love, and that's phileo, right? That the attachment to another individual to pursue a mission together, right? And this is the where you are working together on a common cause, right? And the way that you see this flow out in culture is these really incredible moments that define history that are actually completely independent of eros. They're almost entirely dependent on their friends. And I mentioned these in the piece. So my favorite one, which I start with, is Abraham Lincoln and Joshua Speed, right? If Joshua Speed was not alive, or say didn't meet Lincoln, Lincoln would be dead. Like he would have not survived his early 20s-ish early in his career. He suffered from significant depression. He thought like he was an utter failure, disaster in life. He could not basically function at all. And Lincoln credits Speed for saving his life. Lincoln also credits Speed for introducing him to his wife. And actually it works both ways too. So they both saved each other's marriages, right? Wow. And a lot of his early intellectualism about slavery and freedom came from these conversations with Speed. Whenever there's these famous stories around him walking with Lincoln. They would walk for like all day talking about different things, right? And so there's these like pivot moments in history that are really, really defined by certain people that we like sort of forgotten this art of friendship that can utterly transform your entire life. And because it's not like I guess like my point of telling a lot of these stories is that we have plenty of stories of like great marriages, right? Great marriages that define history. We have like movies and constant like this elevation of marriage, right? And so what I'm trying to do in like some of this writing is like elevate this other thing that you've forgotten that actually is almost like accessible to everybody right now, and is also accessible in terms of like the love that you can have between a friend is also shareable. That's like one of the most amazing things about friendship, right? It's like I met you through Greg, right? But it feels additive, right? When I talk about you with Greg, he feels like, oh, great. Like I have two friends that know each other, right?
Right.
So it's like this expansive thing, right? So it's like freely available to everybody. Everyone can have access to it. And when everyone interconnects, it actually expands itself, right? It's one versus Eros love is like designed for like one person. And that's because again, family formation, long-term attachment, right? Like another story is so my favorite founding father, I think his last name is Thomas Jefferson. And he was wrong about several things about how much he loved France and things like that. But one of the things he was amazing about, like he was totally 100% spot on it, is this idea of sovereignty of the individual. and how that relates to property rights and faith and things like that. So his friendship with Madison, which originally started with like Madison basically worked with like Jefferson lived a really long time. Like people kind of forget he like lived to his like I think like high 70s, right? Which is incredible for that time period. So when he was governor, Madison worked for him as sort of like on like a different part of the body in Virginia, and that the most important as you say like amendment right was invented by Madison, which is the Statute of Religious Liberty in the early part of Virginia, so in the Virginia Constitution, and that was basically his great achievement, and he did that when he was like I think 21. And then since then, like Madison kind of plateaued, right? And so he then goes like works with Jefferson and starts working on this idea of federalism, this Constitution, and that friendship between Madison and Jefferson basically is, I believe, the most important friendship between all the founding fathers that forms the idea of the Constitution, forms the idea of separation of powers, the Bill of Rights, right? Because without Madison and Jefferson, we would not have a Bill of Rights, right? And that was because Madison pressured Jefferson basically when he was an ambassador in France. And you read these letters that Madison would write, they would write each other. And basically Madison's like, bro, you got to get on with this program, right? We have to do this. Jefferson goes, I don't know. That Hamilton guy sucks. He's always talking too much. And he wants to be king, right? And this battle back and forth, right? And the final Constitutional Convention, because we had several of them before, right? And people kind of like a third of the people at our Constitutional Convention that actually formed a constitution, a third of the delegates didn't even come. Because this was like, here's another one. We'll just have another one in a few years, right? And like Rhode Island didn't even show up, right? Like and so it was
a third, huh?
Yeah, a third of them didn't even come.
Wow.
Right? So it was mostly like New York and Virginians. And so Jefferson though represented this block of people that like basically weren't that interested, but through the friendship of Madison, basically convinced Jefferson to go along with it. And in fact, whenever it finally passed and everything. Jefferson wrote Madison being like, oh, that's fine. We'll just do another one in 10 years. It's like, it's okay. Right. And Madison goes like, no, this is the actual one. This is going to work. Right. And so like that friendship, right. That bond is basically pulled in the Virginians and basically created the establishment of the Constitution and like in the support of it. Right. And then so Jefferson also has another famous friendship with Adams, John Adams. That formed much later. So Jefferson, and this goes to the power of friendship. So Jefferson hated Adams. Like they just like utterly, because Adams loved England.
I've been there. I've had friends that I hate.
Yeah.
End up becoming good friends. Some people think that about Hiller and I, although it's not true, but some people think that.
So they hated each other for a long time because Jefferson wanted us to be close to France. Adams wanted us to be close to England, right? And then once they both become presidents, right? Adams didn't have a great presidency. Jefferson had a great one. They basically start this really deep friendship after that. And the later letters of Jefferson and Adams, when they're reflecting on forming the country, is I think some of the most inspiring things about how great these men were and how much they thought about like what they were trying to do. And in fact, they die only a few days apart from each other. And. Oh, that's right. And they wish each other things in their final days. They actually share things in their estate with each other. And they basically regret their behavior that they had before this, that they could have this friendship earlier. Right. And so like this beauty that we have that like, I would say previous generations were really great at. And I think our modern culture today is this may be offensive, but I truly believe it, that I think our obsession around the nuclear family and is very constructive around American ideas that is not particularly healthy for children. Because if you look at, let's say, 7,000 years of human history, most of the time children were basically like free range children, and the attachment to the family. Yeah. Their attachment to the family is basically you sleep here, you eat here, and like I will protect you, right? But outside of that, you got to go develop your own identity because dad's off working, and I got like stuff to do at the farm as the wife, right? And so today we have this like kind of opposite trend. And I just don't know how you can say that children today are better. Like they're obviously worse.
Opposite trend. What's the
Aaron, I want to share a story with you. In the second grade, I met a guy named Jeff Holman, and he became my best friend, and I kept him as a friend for life. And I realized from the second grade forward that the only reason why I ever went to school or did anything, went to work at CrossFit, anything was always for friendship. So like I do this thing where I cover the games, the semifinals.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing is coming online live and seeing my friends. It's so much cooler. It's like the coolest thing. Those are my friends and we're going to hang out. And in 2008 or whatever, I can't remember, 9, when Greg was going through his divorce with Lauren, I remember saying to Lauren, hey, and I didn't know Greg at the time, although I worked for CrossFit. I mean, I knew him, but I didn't know him. And I said to Lauren, I said, hey, does Greg I'm really good at friendship. That's like my specialty. Does Greg have any close friends? And she goes, you should build a good bond with him. So I basically contacted Greg and I said, hey, can I come stay with you? And I went to his house and he was living by himself because Lauren had moved out. And I stayed there for 30 days straight.
Dude.
And I went there consciously to become his friend. It was weird. It was like I'd never really done that. Like, hey, I'm going to go out of my way and just build. And then eventually it ended up, we stayed friends, obviously very close for a couple of years. Then me and my wife moved in with him and raised Avi in his house. I lived with him for 3 years.
Dude, I didn't know that. Whoa.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Awesome.
And then finally, and then when he met Maggie and they got married, we lived there for another 6 months, and then he started growing his family, so we moved out of the house. Yeah. But I think one of the crazy things about friendship is that people to be, I've had friends who I come home and they're passed out on the couch, like nodding off, high on heroin, and my bike's gone, and people are like, I'm like, dude, where's my bike? And he's like, I sold it, and that's not a deal breaker for me. Mm-hmm. That's not a deal breaker for me. I'm not like, oh, you're not my friend anymore. It's just a fucking new dynamic in the friendship. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, I get it. This particular friend's addicted to heroin. You can't leave your bike, and I have to figure out how to navigate that. Maybe I need a break from the friendship, but there's too much pressure. What I see around me is that people have too high of expectations on people around them. Mm. Yeah. And people don't want to be used. It's like this negative thing. And if you're a fucking good friend, you want to be used. Mm-hmm. You see yourself the same way a pot wants to carry water. You want to help. You know your value.
I don't think a pot wants anything.
And then Hiller, don't ruin my story. I'm personifying. and then
lovely story.
Don't bring logic to this in reality to my story, Hiller. And then there's other people who like I was Dave Castro, who they'll use you in ways you didn't know you could be used. Mm-hmm. And so they bring out another side of you, but that's because you have to go into this with like no expectations on the friendship, kind of, you know what I mean? It's interesting that people fuck the step on their own dick all the time and ruin great friendships.
So like I 100% agree that a part of like our souls is they desire to be connected. Right. And we bond over these different types of connections, different type of love.
What do you think our soul is, really quick? Could you tell me in a couple sentences when you say our souls, what that is?
Soul? Well, I mean, I'm a theologically trained Christian. So like from a Christian perspective, it would basically be, oh, my hand got messed up. Oh yeah, it's backwards, isn't it? So from a Christian perspective, like the soul is the conscious attachment that we have to God that exists with every single human being, regardless if they're a faithful follower of Christ or not, and whether that's redeemed or not. And this is an extension of the garden when we were Amagio Dei, which is the only title given to anything creation that is attached to God, and that connection is existing within us individually in the garden, and that was broken by sin, and that through reconciliation through Christ on the cross, you can actually have the redeeming of that soul, reattachment to God, which is the Holy Spirit that like lives within us and is the returning connection. There's also like in some Christian theology, there's like head, heart, soul, head, soul. Like I don't want to get that detailed.
In the cartoons, it's the thing when Daffy Duck gets smashed, it like floats away.
Sure, that's fine. Or VeggieTales, if we want to make it Christian. Sure, I'm sure that appears in VeggieTales.
Okay, right? I'll check. I'll look at it. But is it like that? Is it like our battery? Is it like our? Is it actually something? Our soul?
Yeah. So like from Romans 1, which is a letter that Paul wrote to the church in Romans, every human being possesses this internal dialogue, which I call as good or evil, and that is imprinted from us from birth. Like you don't have to teach children to do bad things; they just do it, right? It's not like a parent is like, my child is born tabula rasa. They're just this blank slate. I'm going to teach them how to be selfish and cry on the plane and throw crap at people, right? and have all these problems, right? No, it's just in, right? And this is that the morality code that exists within us, which is an extension, I believe, of the connection that Adam and Eve had to God, is that morality imprint. And that's what I believe is a soul. It's a desire, this like infinite desire to be connected and to live beyond the material world. Like every single human being like desires this longing, this longevity, this picture of future, right? Where we desire shalom, and to use, if you pull in the Jewish tradition,
I like that, infinitely connected. Yeah.
That,
You want to be infinitely connected, Hiller? That's nice, right? Infinitely. No. Oh, okay.
I have my notifications turned off.
Right now I'm on silent. Yeah. So yeah, so there's this soul connection, which I'll tell you like another great story of like a president I didn't really like, right? So FDR and Howe was his last name, Henry Howe. So this goes to like lifelong connection, a lot of stuff you're telling, that beautiful story with you and Greg. And I have a similar story too of one of my best friends. He got divorced through, in the end, was the right thing to do. They were 100% not great, and she was very abusive. But I helped repair his life. And like I think it was a couple of weeks after the final full separation, like I went to his house, helped clean out his house, stayed with him, helped rebuild his life and rebuild his masculinity and his courage. And now he's married to an awesome woman, and they have a fantastic marriage. And I can't wait for them to have kids.
Did you do that on purpose? Help him rebuild?
Yeah, it was intentional. Wow. Yeah. And I talked to him over, like I was in San Francisco at the time, and I talked to him over the phone because his cousin actually worked for me at a different company. And he goes, "Oh, hey, meet this other CrossFitter, this other guy who's also Christian." And then I talked to him, like built friendship, and then finally told me he was going through like a really bad divorce. And then so after a few months of knowing him, I flew out to him in Colorado, and he's actually one of the reasons why I moved here to Boulder, because him and I are still best friends after I think it was like six years ish ago, and just invested in his life, and that transformed him to like being this like awesome man of God, awesome CrossFitter, and gave him the courage to rebuild his life. And like that's what friends do, right? And now we're in a different transitionary phase, which is again the power of friendship, is that he's married now, and new boundaries. He used to live with me, now he doesn't. He's down the street from me, and like he has a whole other life he's building, and I'm happy to be a part of that, and be a part of that as his friend, and hopefully uncle when he has children.
Can you remind me how that happened as a result of you not liking FDR and how?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Nice,
So
wow.
People don't think I'm paying attention. I'm just a sponge here.
So you just showing off. Now Hiller's just showing off.
I'm also trying to know why he doesn't like Costco versus Whole Foods. I want to know his definition of happiness.
Oh, I love Costco. I love Costco.
All right.
So
hey, he just fucked all you guys up in the chat.
I'm looking at his comments, and like he's sleeping. I'm like, no, I'm just absorbing.
Okay, sorry. So I'll go back to Howe. Okay, so Howe and FDR. So Howe was essentially FDR's best friend, and they met very early on in his career, and he persisted through, because FDR served the most administrations ever in a president, served 4, right? So in the first 2, Howe was basically his confidant. He led the kitchen cabinet, which is basically off the record conversations. FDR is super famous in all those administrations to basically have these massive debates with Howe in the Oval Office, unrecorded, with nobody. And people would say that they would literally just go at it, right? They would like yell at each other, argue with each other, right? But Howe is considered the hand behind FDR. And also famous for FDR is FDR was a massive womanizer and emotionally abused Eleanor, and was just like completely like they lived in basically 2 different homes.
A Democrat.
Yeah. Right.
Also did one of the biggest, completely fucked Japanese Americans, completely fucked people in the United States. Another Democrat. Throw him in there with fucking the KKK and the Nazis.
Yeah.
Truly.
He was also massive anti-Semite, and like he had lots of lots of issues, right? So
people, that's not that long ago. Remember, that's the Democratic Party. That's lock Japanese people up, steal their fucking land, and don't think it won't happen to you, because it will. Keep fucking voting for Biden, and next thing you know, they'll be taking your house so they can put homeless people in there. You just watch.
The South was run by Dixiecrats. The longest serving KKK member was a Democrat. like Bird, like, and he served until the 90s, right?
Oh, but he
So,
apologized. Don't worry. It's fine. It's fine.
yeah,
Jerry.
it's like, come on.
See, I got his
So
name right. Okay, go
yeah,
on. Sorry,
so
FDR and Howe.
Howe,
Sorry, Hiller.
yeah.
That's
So
good.
so
That's
Howe,
Okay.
yeah, so Howe basically like held the administration together, and Howe actually ended up becoming really good friends with Eleanor, and like also originally Eleanor hated him, and then they started working together, and then he became the confidant to Eleanor to push her agenda, and she was actually quite successful as first lady. But then Howe basically dies, and all of the basically attributed, kind of like failures of the FDR administration and the last two were basically connected to the fact that he disappeared. And so that this friendship basically was heavily focused towards accountability, loyalty, and kept FDR in check. And when he died, a lot of these sort of bad decisions in the later parts of FDR's administrations is attributed to the fact that FDR didn't have any accountability. He didn't have accountability with his wife because he was almost basically estranged from her, and he basically kind of was like floating alone, right? And so another great story about like accountability, showing up for each other, persevering, right? And having like a very deep friendship with somebody, connection to somebody that can create greatness, right? And I mean, he did this, like no one even really knows about this guy, but like he is the main reason why FDR, I mean, from a political perspective, was successful, was this random guy.
Two
That's the
questions.
story.
How
Yeah.
do you know about him then? And did he also do this consciously the way that you did for your friend?
Yeah. I mean, he called
Okay.
FDR his best friend. Yeah.
Well,
Like
I
it
mean, you
was,
said that you
yeah.
consciously tried to rebuild your friend's masculinity and helped him with his marriage, right? And then you said he also
Yeah.
worked with you.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
something that happened with How too? Did I miss that part?
Yeah. I
How's
mean,
there
like,
just like, hey, I'm going to do this for FDR?
I mean, just being intentional, right? Like, so you're intentional with your fiancé, right? So you're intentional with work. You're intentional, like intention again is this reflection of self-respect and agency and choice, right? And you choose people or let me rephrase it this way: the people you have in your life, you should select, right? People that you should avoid having in your life are people just kind of randomly show up and leave because there's no responsibility and shared responsibility in their relationship, right? And so seeking out people and selecting them, right? And including them in your life, as Sevan said with Greg, is like how you create these massively transformative relationships. And it's not White Claw; it's a highball.
It's a highball.
Where is it? It's a highball. I'm not drinking
a hippie Colorado energy drink. Aaron Ginn.
So you want because the arc of like being like people's like we've all had down times, we've all had these hard times, right? These moments. Like the relationships that are really resilient to that are the ones that can transform your life, from going to people who are in despair and then who get addicted to drugs and commit suicide. The deaths of despair in our country are as high as it's ever been, highest in the world, basically. Like friends are the things that protect against that. And of course a spouse can too, right? But that is layered with all these other complexities, which is the point of like my articles. I have a section called the de-romanticization of friendship, is that like, there are so many things wrapped up into that 101 amazing bond that's so unique in this world that like it makes it really difficult to like add these other elements into it, right? And like the friendship side is basically what Sevan in his story and like my story, right, is like you're just showing up for the person and I'm like choosing you, and there's no other exchange of bonds, right? Like there's no like, oh, we have kids so we have to do this, or like you live in my house so we have to do this, or you're in my family so I have to do this, right? Friendship is this really like unique thing of like you just showing up and like all I'm giving you is my love, right? Or as Sevan's thing was, you can pour water into my pot, right? And there's no exchange, right? It's just like it's literally just you, right? That also makes it very risky, right? Because the only connection point between you and another person is that relationship itself, versus like family and marriage. You have a contract, you have covenant, you have family, genetic ties, right? With friendship, it's just that relationship itself. That's also why it's so powerful, and also why it can be so fragile at the same time. But you should be intentional with all of your relationships in your life. You shouldn't just like have anyone kind of float randomly in your life, because those people will like hurt you in the end of the day, because their fundamental motivation wasn't actually you. It was like just kind of, you were just there, right?
I'm assuming you also intentionally remove people then, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to be like a doormat, right? That goes to the nice guy stuff, right? But how you end, I think, is really important. People are in our culture very passive and indirect. And so for me, so a weakness of mine, right, is that my pastor would say I microwave relationships, right? And it is a total weakness. I don't think it's an awesome trait.
What does that mean, and why is it considered a weakness?
Yeah. So essentially,
Aaron, I want to say one thing real quick before you tell the story about that. Andrew published a video yesterday.
Oh boy.
That has the perfect fucking example of what the difference between a strong, powerful man and a weak man.
Okay.
It's 1 a.m. I don't know what time it is. He's laying down at the end of a hallway in a hotel, working on his computer by the fire exit. There's no one can hear him. He's whispering into his computer, making a YouTube video.
Okay.
And a lady, and he's just laying there in his boxers or in his shorts, and a lady walks up to him, who's the manager of the hotel, and tries to kick him out. He's like the fucking Tao. He's there, but he's not there. And he stands up to her in the most gentle, powerful way. He's the water, he's the mountain, he's the air, he's everything. I'll send you the clip afterwards. Whereas most other people, including myself, would have been like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and got up and left. But he's like, "Ma'am, I've clearly not disturbed anyone. No one is I'm here working." And next thing you know, she feels comfortable walking up to him, and he's all big and juiced up and veins popping out. And they
the pre-workout.
Actual steroids.
The actual steroids, yeah. and she actually walks away. I would love to interview her and see what she thought. She met an immovable object that was also not there. I'll send you the link. It is truly, when I read your articles about like how a man should stand up to things, it's exactly how we should all be. He's not defensive, and yet he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
There's not that. He's just, it's
Confidence.
so great. But
she could have picked me up and put me in my room. She could have carried me like a baby. That would have been interesting.
He could have been like, "Yo, bitch, what the fuck are you talking
put
about?" It would have been like I'm not doing anything. Get out of here. Like he could, but none of that.
Yeah, you want to be gracious, you know.
Yes, so gracious, but so powerful. Go on.
Yeah,
sorry.
and
I'll send you a link to it. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's
gracious.
Awesome.
You cannot be gracious or kind without being confident, right? Nice guys are not confident, which is why they're never gracious or kind. And that's why they're manipulative with their behaviors, like appeasement and approval, like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," even though inside they know they didn't do anything wrong. So like I literally don't say sorry. Like I if I'm doing like, because that's kind of like a programmatic thing people in the brain. Like I say sorry for things I actually did wrong, that like I own agency of. I like there's judgment against me. I'm sorry. But this whole thing
I was told
like,
to change sorry with thank you. And so I always, if I want to say sorry, I'll say thank you. So like if someone's on their bike and my kid's in the way and they go around my kid, instead of saying sorry, I say thank you. I give them the power. Oh, thank you. That was good, instead of sorry.
Yeah, I say excuse me. Or like another phrase is, people say to be honest. I don't say that. I say to be frank, because I'm always honest. Yeah, like
it was that twice already.
To be frank or to
Frank.
That's good. That's good. I like
That's the word frank.
Okay. The I was like, did I say honest? Like, I've been talking fast. So
I'm not telling you guys any more stories where I call the police. Fuck you guys. Hi, Melissa. Good morning.
So your question then on microwave.
When's the last time you said sorry? Do you know? Either of you, because both of you just said you don't say it really.
Oh, I do say it, but I try not to.
No, yeah, I don't say it in these colloquial passing phrases.
Why?
Yeah, I said sorry to.
He just said it. He just said it.
Yeah, 2 or 3 days ago to my best friend about who went through the divorce, because I said I was being too needy based on some things that were going on in my life, and that I apologized for basically applying like too much pressure for him to call me back and to respond to my text message, and that was being like intrusive, and that I should like be patient and like not expect something like immediately in return, right? And that so that was me reflecting on my own expressing my own sort of internal anxieties and insecurities onto him and expecting him to fulfill that. In reality, like that wasn't going to happen, right? And it wasn't malicious, right? He was just busy. He was just working and like was doing stuff, right? And another time would have been the couple days before that, where like my other pastor friend who were talking about various issues. I said sorry for him about basically some information that I shared that I shouldn't have, and so I apologized about that. So,
and for thinking about his wife.
His wife is amazing. So yeah, I mean, it's just like the sorry in the like colloquial passing, like as in you're at Costco and someone like, you know, like
I
walks
interrupt
beside
people
you,
all the time
right?
and say I'm sorry. And the other day, Dave's on the show and he's like, "You're not sorry." I'm like, "Actually,
Yeah,
Dave,
just
I'm not
excuse
sorry."
me,
Yeah.
pardon me. Like so when someone says, you know, I don't understand them, I say, you know, pardon me, or say, excuse me, right? I try to remove the sorry aspect to it. Or like, you know, when you're just like accidentally cross someone's path, like in the box, right? I don't say sorry, I just say excuse me. When people say sorry, I'm like, it's not, there's no like justice needed here because you like accidentally walked in front of me when I'm like trying to, you know, do a clean jerk or something like that, right? But like language like that, I think is it's just like things people say. They don't really like when people say I don't understand. That's not what really they're actually saying. What they're saying is I don't agree, right? So I try to pull those things out and try to be more specific in language. But on your thing about microwaving relationships, just quickly about that. So I microwave. So this means that when I meet somebody, I like become super intentional very quickly and want to talk about like very intense things within like a day or two of meeting them or within the same hanging
Like
out.
us.
Yeah. Because one, I find it interesting. I find other people super interesting about what they think about the world, why they think that. Granted, most people have never thought about these things, so you know I take that in that. The other is that it's a bit of a safety mechanism for me. Because going back to your question of like, do you remove people? Well, yeah, absolutely. So by microwaving it, I tend to create, it's like a defensive mechanism so that I don't have people in my life who are thoughtless or immoral or don't know what they want in the world because those people are very dangerous. They're very destructive to relationship around like the blast radius of those people in your life could be immense, right? Very, very toxic people. So I microwave because I'm like, if they can stand this pressure, which is like, I mean, I'm not like being rude or mean. It's like I'm still being kind in the conversation. I'm not being an ass. But if they can't stand this conversation about like, what do you want in life? Like, what do you believe? You know, what, you know, tell me about, you know, you just casually go into like, you know, are they vulnerable? Do they self-reflect? Do they talk about issues? Do they, you know, we're not talking like if I know somebody has some significant trauma in their life and I first met them, I'm not going to like start with that, right? But you know, you see, do they bring it up? Do they reflect on it, right? And do they offer it up, right? In this exchange, first exchange, and that to me is a sign of like maturity, of discipline, of self-control, of self-awareness. These are all principles of people who you should be friends with because they'll protect you. And because you want that mutual exchange of respect. Yeah.
Some part of me is thinking you put something in the microwave and there's some aluminum foil on it and you didn't know about it.
I love it when that happens. That's awesome.
And all of a sudden the microwave's going out of control and sparking. And then that's when you go, this person is thoughtless and they're going to be destructive to me and everyone close to me. And then you got to throw out the whole microwave.
Yeah, it explodes, right?
And
it's everywhere.
I want every once in a while you're like, I got to get this cup of water hot.
Yeah,
I want to throw this.
It's like I like this. I'm gonna make some tea out of this person.
I'm gonna throw this really arrogant, self-serving story out. Because I haven't done that in my life, I've seen shit that no one else will ever see, and my life is so much richer than other people's shit. For instance, I don't throw the guy out who's nodding off doing heroin on my couch in college because I want to see how it unfolds. I don't stop being friends with the bank robber because I want to hear about the bank robbery stories.
Mm-hmm.
I don't I'll give you even an example. In the last 5 years, I hire a guy to put a generator in my house because we have rolling blackouts in California.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that thing the other day,
and it's expensive. It's going to be a $15,000 operation, right? So I give the guy $7,000 to buy the generator. A year later, the generator hasn't even shown up, and I call him like, "Hey, dude, what the fuck's going on?" He's like, "Dude, I bought the generator with your money, and I left it at the store, never picked it up, and they sold it, and you lost your money on it." I'm like, "Oh, dude, what the fuck?" And he goes, "Hey, give me another $7,000. I'll buy another fucking generator and I'll come do it and I'll credit you with the work for the $7,000. And so I do it. And my wife's like, "Are you out of your fucking mind?" I'm like, "Nah, this is a good dude. We're this total good dude. Total fucking good dude."
I found him on his couch and he fucking sold my
dude
bike
comes
too.
to my house with the generator and starts installing it. But I have to call him every month, and he comes over once a month or once every other month and does like 30 minutes of work or whatever, and then leaves. And he's installing all of this stuff and he's putting it in and the generator's there. And one day he pulls up to the house and he's got this is an old dude. This is like a 55-year-old dude, my age, but looks like he's 100. And he pulls up to the house and he's like, hey, can I open this gate when I work? And I have this huge sliding gates. And on one side of my house, can I park my truck here and leave these sliding gates open? I said, yeah, what's up? He's like, I got a baby in the car. I go, you got a baby in the car? He goes, yeah. So I go over to the fucking car and I look in the car. I'm like, dude, that's not a fucking baby. That thing is fucking looks like it should still be in the womb. He goes, yeah, it was born yesterday. I'm like, where's the lady? He goes, I got this fucking young girl pregnant. She had the baby and they 5150'd her. So I got the fucking baby now and she's in the fucking mental ward.
The hell's 5150?
You think you're a duck. You think you're a duck. And you think needle exchanges are good in neighborhoods except yours. And so basically, so this goes on for like years, right? And then finally, the project's at the 85-yard line, and I'm calling him, and he won't return his call. And I call, and finally he answers, and I go, "Hey, dude, what's up?" And he goes, "Hey, dude, I'm gonna fucking die in a couple days. I can't finish the project." I go, "What's up?" He goes, "I got pancreatic cancer." And he ends up dying. And dude ends up dying. And dying of pancreatic cancer, and he's gone. And I got to witness that whole thing. That whole story took like 5 years, by the way. It's still fucking thing is still not installed.
The big thing right over there, that's all rusted.
It's at the 90. Yeah, that thing, that fucking German amazing contraption. Yeah.
I go, I wonder if that's the generator.
Yeah. So then my neighbor comes over, who's a contractor, great guy, and he goes, "Hey, do you want me to finish installing this for you?" Like he watched the whole thing go down over 5 years. I'm like, "Yeah, please." So he started. He's finishing it, but. That whole thing enriched my life. And I got a fucking million stories like that going on. Do you know what I mean? Like I got a million stories like that going on that make my life so fucking fun that other people like there's still people who think that homeless people are the problem. That's a great question. Where is the baby? I'll text his buddy and ask him. I think his parents actually are raising it. But
well,
do you know what I mean? There's like, say it again.
It's just a story of boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Like
okay. Yeah. Tell me about that, because I'm really I get really triggered by when people say they have boundaries. So help me get untriggered by that boundary.
Yeah. So it's
and my wife thinks I'm a little crazy. She's like, "Motherfucker, we still don't have a generator." Every time the power goes out, she takes her belt off and beats me.
So you can think of boundaries as the worst type of boundary is when someone says, "I need to do a boundary," right? That's like a very scary sort of statement, right? Because it's usually confrontation. It's usually something.
Or you broke my boundaries. Someone's like, "You broke my boundaries." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
I didn't even touch your genitalia. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So think of it this way, right? That like boundaries are just rules of the road, right? And when you have go back to friendships, and that's what we're talking about. Like boundaries between friends, good friends, are just instinctive. They just sort of are there, right? Because you can read like what is what they want, what they don't want, what's accessible and not accessible, what you respect and allow, what you don't allow, right? And if you know somebody really well, you can just instantly sort of think of it. So as an example, like Greg, right? So both you and I are good friends with him. So Greg has this thing where like, sometimes he just won't respond to his text message, so he just says, "Come over." Yeah. And within some broad range of like a couple of days, right? So for other friends,
you could go over there and he's not there. He's in another state.
Yeah. So for other friends, like that's weird, right? Like I wouldn't just randomly go to my buddy Tony's house or something, like my best friend Tony's house, and just show up there, right? Because his wife will be like, "I love you, Aaron, but what are you doing here? Like, we have to go to work and to do these things, right?" But for Greg, he's like, "Whatever, right? Yeah, this is just what I do, right?" And so that's like a type of boundary that he has allowed people to just show up at his house, right? Yeah. And so when you have these certain relationships, like the heroin guy or the generator guy, you had boundaries in there because it wasn't like you're gonna just have him, stay at your house for a week, right? Right. And those are sort of these intrinsic things, these rules, and sometimes it is just clarifying, like, here's what I want, this is what I need. Like, the word boundary gets kind of, people who actually use it in like real conversation generally don't do it in a very good way. They typically don't have self-respect. They don't have agency in their own lives. So they create these like, "Oh, that's my boundary." And then they become super woke and like caring about it. Right. Those are people that are kind of like toxic. Right. But people who have self-respect and people who are confident and people who know who they are, they naturally just project it outwards. And because you can tell, I mean, because 10% of what you're actually communicating and thinking is actually what's actually going on in communication. 90% is nonverbal that's being processed in the subconscious, right? So people will see you, and if they see you as a confident person, they're already immediately going to understand boundaries. And that goes back to nice guy things and friendships that help form all these different aspects.
Andrew has a boundary. It's interesting. That and I don't have to live by it because he does a lot of phone recording. So in his YouTube making, he records. He uses his phone to record videos a lot. So what he's done is he's figured out how to make it so his iPhone, he puts people in his favorites or he does something so only certain people can break in.
There are 4.
Okay. And I don't know how I got on that list, but I can call and he can be like, asshole, I was recording. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
But is that a boundary? Like he set boundaries. I'm trying to think of like what healthy boundary, like what I'm trying to think like.
I would like to know his take on that.
Yeah. Can you give me some other examples of boundaries?
The last person I know who did that was that woman who went the identity chick on your show. She said that
she had boundaries. Yeah, one of her boundaries was like she didn't talk to men for like a couple of years or something.
And
like, wow, that's gnarly.
Said that she has her notifications turned off, and I go, I don't know if I want to be lumped into that group. but I do it because I can't. The phone buzzes and I look at it and it drives me insane. I just don't want to know that anything's going on until I do.
Yeah. So like people who actually use that word in like normal conversation are generally not. I'm going to say something maybe slightly off color. Are not generally people I want to associate with.
Yeah, me neither. I'm like, whoa, that's something. You got boundaries.
Yeah. Because people who use it, it's sort of like so people who are unhealthy, emotionally toxic, whatever, like narcissistic behaviors, they will use that word as like a sledgehammer, right? And they'll just like boom you, right? Versus healthy people just project externally, like, hey, like I said, as Hiller just described, this is why I do it.
Yeah, he's never used that word with me. He's never used that word with me.
He's telling you why he's doing it, and that's like that's a good boundary. It's like as a healthy person boundary. It's like this is why I'm doing this. This should be logical to you, and then you respect it because you love me.
You tell me if it was bad too, right? You just be like, dude, you're all messed up.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, Aaron, he rubbed coconut oil on my arm and rubbed my biceps, shirtless, on my fucking skateboard ramp in the sun.
I was just relevant.
For 20 minutes, cupped me. I moved closer to him because I saw he was leaning over and I didn't want him, like he was like respecting my boundaries for distance, but I had to move closer to him because I didn't want him to be, he was working on me. And it was like, so, as I was kind of like having an out of body experience because I was like, this is so like, he's completely broken my boundaries and I don't care.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So,
like he assessed the situation. He's like, has anyone ever massaged you before? I'm like, no. Like I don't let my wife touch me like this. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So, but
such a gun. He's like sucking on me, telling me my skin's dry. Even that, I'm like, dude,
drink more water, man.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Excellent example. So
rubbing a knife on me. He was like rubbing a knife. I could feel his breath on me.
Yeah. Like I've done that.
And I got scared, so I went to Instagram Live so I'd have witnesses.
Yeah.
So like as an example of like how boundaries work, like I view boundaries as like fences with gates, right? So like, and
fences
this is what
with
people
gays?
Gates.
Oh, gates.
Like gates, right? So obviously, like if you go to a massage, you allow people through the gate because they're there to do something. Versus like if you were at Costco and someone started doing that, that's violating a boundary, right? So like that's how they should work, right? In the sense of like healthy people can establish new norms and new boundaries.
Yeah.
It's sort of intrinsically, subconsciously, because they can understand the social and cultural context of like what you're in, right? And I'll give you another maybe off color example.
Look at what he did to me.
That's good stuff. Good stuff,
that wasn't me.
That was you.
that was your wife. She was hitting you.
That's right.
Why is the generator not working?
Yeah, I enjoyed having that boundary broken. I was appreciative of of him trying to heal me. Yeah, because I got a problem in there.
So another example of like boundaries that tend to be misused, right? Is I'm a firm believer, and this is going to be, yes, my hand keeps going on. I'm a firm believer that what occurs in private conversation is very different than what occurs in public conversation, and that you should not judge a person by what happens in private conversations between two people that know each other or a couple of people that know each other. And because I think that violates the boundary that's actually set in private conversation. So the reason why is it's very logical, right? That like why people discuss what they do in private versus in public. The social capital exchange in public between you and your audience, me and your audience, like I don't know anybody in your audience. So the social capital is like zero, basically, right? And therefore you talk a certain way and you present ideas a certain way to establish, build social capital with these people you're interacting for the first time. This is why press people exist, is they're trying to remove the private, like how you exchange information and talk about subjects privately to public so people can actually understand what you're trying to communicate and can build up that social capital between individuals that occur in text or email or whatever. You have so much more social capital creation that forms the bonds where you don't need to go through, okay, hello, my name is Aaron Ginn. I work here. I am the CEO of this and this, right? You just exist, right? You're in this continual formation of relational capital that allows you to exchange information the way you do, right? And so I don't judge people by what happens. Like, you always have these scandals and like, oh my gosh, this person said this private. I'm like, I don't really care. Like, I generally don't care, right? Because I don't know what happened. I don't know what generated that. I don't know if that's a joke. I don't know if that's playful. I don't know if it's in context of a verbal conversation that they went to back to text or went to email. Like, you just can't understand, right? Because you're like, it's sort of like taking a moment, a slice of time between a couple people and like opening the door into like, oh my gosh, look at all this stuff, judgment, right? And I don't care, right? I don't care. I care about like what they say in public, what they actually do, right? This obsession that people have in our culture is just so destructive to like intimacy between friends and for couples and work relationships. It's just so destructive because people can't be honest. They can't, and so they just lie to each other. And then like, how does that help anybody? How does that help anybody to just avoid anything real and vulnerable in your own heart because you're like afraid someone's like watching you and is going to like, take something out of context or something like that.
Well, I have this problem. I'd be curious what you think about this. I will be out with dear friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll have their kids there and I'll have my kids there and I'll see them interact with their kids. And then I'll think, oh, I'm going to tell that story on my podcast. I won't give their name.
Mm-hmm.
I won't, but I'll say like some shit like, dude, I can't believe I was out with this family and they fed their kids orange juice. I can't believe they fucking did.
Seed oils.
And then my friend, seed oils. And then my friends hear that and they think that I'm judging them. Mm-hmm. They don't realize that it's just part of my cultivate. And I'm starting to lose friends because of that. Even though I don't use their name, I don't put it in context. I even switch things around a little bit. If it's a boy, I'll say it's a girl, but it's to tell the spirit of the story. And I'm losing friends over it because they're feeling judged around me.
I have a saying for that,
and that's it's hurting me a little bit because I've
been standing there.
I don't want to hurt them, but I understand how they think that I'm judging them, but I'm really not. Like I don't care, or it's you know what I mean? Like I fucked up. Yeah. I crossed the boundaries with them. We didn't talk about our boundaries, but it was a nuance that they don't want to be a part of my podcast, even if it's not by name. And
yeah, I mean, those people
in
sound
a negative way. And it's like, we'll say it again.
They sound insecure. Like nobody knows that story except you two. Like, and you mention the names, like who cares?
Right. And I don't mention the names. Yeah. Right. They just feel,
they feel violated or whatever,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, like again, there's stories
like afterwards.
That are like,
Hiller's probably going to put a lock on the bedroom door he's staying in after I told the homoerotic story.
No way, dude.
Okay, good. Yeah. He cupped me, Sevan 2020.
So yeah, imagine that being in a text.
But right? I don't want to do that to people. Do you think I should adjust my boundaries for that? Like,
no. Like because
I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose friends for that. You think I'm just doing the nice guy thing again?
Yeah, I think that's a nice guy thing because like you think of it logically, like unless it's like a very personal, highly specific story, right? That like
no, it would be like, hey, I was out with Aaron Ginn and this motherfucker gave his kid orange juice and I watched his kid spin out. But I wouldn't say your name. I'd say I was out with this guy, and then you'd be watching my podcast and be like, oh, that was me. Sevan was talking about. I gave my kid orange. What an asshole! He's judging me.
Is that yeah? So what? Okay, let's like break down. I hate people say judging thing. So one is like any form of knowledge creation is a judgment call. By the way, right? Knowledge literally means discrimination, and like in the core Greek, right? So to say people have no judgment, it's like what they're actually saying is like I disagree with what you're saying, right? And I feel like it's wrong, right? But that itself is a judgment. they're judging you in return. So this whole idea of like no judgment culture is so dumb because that's a judgment. That's a morality call to saying I'm not going to judge this thing. So really what we're saying is we both just disagree on like with your friend or past friends, as you say. You're just disagreeing on like what should be accessible to you to share, but that's also your own agency. That is your own life, right? And what are you going to do? You're going to like go message every single encounter that you have with somebody and give them permission? No, that's crazy, especially if it occurs in public. Like again, like if it's non-specific information, just take like a good journalist approach, right? Good journalism, right? If it's like 20 years ago when it was like more normal, right? Like they would, if it's quotable, they would have to get permission, direct quotes, right? They go out, get permission from the person. Is this what you said? Yes or no, right? But for like general facts storytelling or like background information, they never quote that, right? They don't quote people who give background information because it's anonymized. It's just kind of general, right? And so like, yeah, I've had people tell stories about me and my friendship. Granted, like I'm a pretty big, open, vulnerable book. Like I know who I am. I know what mistakes I made, and I'm really honest about those mistakes. But I find it kind of endearing, and like, and if I find it goes too far, I call them like, hey, like I didn't like you shared that. I still love you. Like just don't do that in the future, please. And then we can discuss what that boundary is, right? But people who can't even articulate to the boundary, like if they say that back to you, like I felt uncomfortable.
Well, they have said it to me. In their defense, they have said it to me. And then I've apologized and then done it again.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, then that's on you then. so yeah, if you went through that and then you still told yeah, that's on you. So but because if you told me you weren't going to do it again, you did it. Yeah.
Well, we were talking about saying sorry earlier.
Is this guy autistic? I don't think so. Are you autistic, Aaron?
No.
I think I'm autistic.
Oh, sorry. He meant Hiller.
Yeah, that's me.
Autistic.
That's me.
I think he's just confident. He's like a stone wall. He's like a tree, right?
I'm just a tree over here.
Aaron, I want to pick your brain on this. We're shifting gears here. Do you mind? I want to pick your brain.
No, yeah, of course.
Topic? Are we done talking about your thing there?
Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. I don't know if we're done. We're not. What do you think about this? This is a clothing line in the CrossFit space. It's called LSKD, and they're putting up flags. A bunch of colors, which in mime it says rep with pride, takeover has begun.
Sure.
Does that mean when you see that, when I saw that inside the building, does that mean they support all kinds of sexual activity except heterosexual sex? Is that, I'm trying to figure out why you would do that that's a clothing brand, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, I never heard of it. Yeah.
Dude, that's the front of the building.
Why
it's not the side? You told me it was the side. It's the freaking sign on the top.
It's the logo, right? It's the logo.
Oh, by side, I just meant
it used to be black and white.
I meant just like a side. Like
it looks like you go in right underneath that thing, and that's the front.
Yeah. Sure. Front side. Anyway, what do you think? Why are people doing that?
You mean like a June?
Why are people covering their bit? Why are people changing their stuff? Their store signs and clothing. Why is there this thing of sexual pride all of a sudden? What the fuck's going on? Like, I personally won't wear that stuff now because of that for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have before.
So we can take it to multiple levels. Do you want like Fox News level, or do you want like cultural, like longitudinal regarding philosophy, and like there's multiple levels we can like
attack.
This is
where the AI starts to come, and it's like, how do you want to refine your search? With
Aaron, yeah, no, right.
You think this is a commercial? Do you think this is a commercial decision, a financial decision?
Oh, of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, so do you? So, okay.
I don't know what I want. I just don't get it. I feel like it alienates people. Like Black Lives Matter, the same exact thing. Because of the way the human brain is set up, you're basically saying, unless that's internal messaging, blacks to blacks, you're basically there's going to be a group of people who see that you're saying that all lives don't matter.
Can you go through the comments a little bit? What are people saying about it? Are they all in support?
Can't wait to see outrage. Looks like a
who cares who you sleep with? I don't know why they have to do this. Well, if it truly is who cares, then who cares if they do it too?
I know a guy who says that exact thing. I don't care. I just don't want to see it. And to an extent or degree, when I'm in public with Alexis, it's like it's the PDA thing, right? People can assume that I'm with her, but I'm not going to be just making out with her on every corner or something like that, right? Because some people, it's kind of similar, I think. I don't care. I just don't want to see it.
This thing is so conflated too
Maybe some people
with
do
all
wanna see
sorts
it.
of crazy shit now, right? I don't see the connection between gays and trans and pedophiles, but they're all kind of like rolling together as a group now, and I can't even. They've completely lost me.
Yeah. So something you could read that could help clarify is this book called The Rise and Triumph of the Modern Self. It's by a guy named Carl, I think Carl something. And so he basically describes like what he wrote this, I think like 10 years ago. There's another book called The Triumph of the Therapeutic.
It's a beautiful sign.
Yeah. And so the longitudinal, the like why this happened, right, is that there's a longitudinal trend in our society, particularly America and less so in Europe. Europe thinks the whole like trans stuff is like insane, right? So they're like classical feminists, right? So they're like, what do you mean? Like, you know, this is this, right? So this is a very unique thing in America that is like kind of like spreading, right? And so much so that like, you know, presidents and heads of state in Europe have commented that Americans' wokeness and sexual revolution must be resisted. Particularly, the French president has said that several times. And also
Really, that guy?
Yeah, Macron said that.
Wow. Because I think of him as a fucking doorknob. Wow, that's awesome. Okay.
So because if you look at it from a philosophical perspective, it actually is connected to the French existentialist movement. But regardless of that, so it is kind of their fault. But you know, so our country is kind of this amalgamation of mostly English Enlightenment, a quarter French Enlightenment, and a quarter Roman, right? And this combination is what created our country to where, like, you know, our basically civil virtues are like forgiveness and restarting, defining your own future, right? Being a rebel, building a company, right? That's why our country reflects that into our code, right? Bankruptcy laws, for example. Bankruptcy laws in America are very generous compared to in Japan or in Germany, right? And that's because our society is built on this kind of like, do your thing, have fun, right? And like build a life you want. The problem that happened is during the sort of sexual revolution, as we kind of continue to like detach from where identity is being formed into actual liberation, is where every single norm then becomes destroyed, right? For the sake of your individual identity. And that leads to absurdism. We already knew this because the French existentialists taught us this, particularly Derrida to Sartre to Foucault, right? All these guys already wrote about this, like, because they basically predicted this sort of behavior that once you become, and they wrote it as
I'm so free that I can molest children and kill women and kill women.
When there's no boundaries,
just completely absurd level of freedom. Right? Yeah.
So I think a lot of people who are more, let's say, libertarian, conservative, moderate, confused a couple of things the last sort of 20, 30 years, where there's a difference between acceptance and promotion and tolerance and promotion, right? And this is where, when you don't have any norms that bind people, which is what I was taught growing up in high school, is it just exchange and libertarianism and like no culture, no values, no norms. No one needs to have any commonality or shared norms.
George Floyd's a hero. Why not?
Yeah. So when you don't have anything there, ends up is that something fills it, right? And that's where we are today. Is that a lot of the, you know, I'm sure you've read the polls, right? That like your kids' generation, 30 to 40% identifies LGBTQI2A, right? Like 30, 40%. Yeah. Like biologically speaking, that is 100% impossible, right? That's why Bill Maher has that famous joke that went super viral, was like, and in 20 years, everyone's gonna be gay, right? And he's literally coming from an atheist liberal, right? And so it's obviously a cultural, social phenomenon that's happening.
Well, yeah. How would my kids don't even know that stuff because no one's taught them that stuff.
Well, that's good. It's good because you're actually creating their own identity formation, which is what you need to do, right? And so the problem that in our society is that we sort of vacated this ground in the effort of tolerance, thinking that, oh, we're all talking the same thing, we're all in the same playing field. In reality, something came in and was like, no, I'm going to fill it, right? And that is what the sign represents.
Let me ask you this real quick, Aaron. So there's this idea. God, you're gonna help me so much here. There's this idea I've had. So imagine a person is just 4 buckets for the sake of buckets, and every person is just 4 buckets, and you're gonna fill the buckets whether you do it intentionally or not, right? One of them is how angry you are. One of them is how happy you are. One of them is how horny you are, and the other one is what's your God. And they're gonna fill whether you fill them intentionally or not. And with that thing that you're talking about, that complete tolerance of stuff, people have abandoned the one that's your God and allowed it to be filled So to be filled with like CNN,
Mm.
liberal ideology, Fox News.
Mhm.
They don't even, they say they're atheists, that there's really no such thing as an atheist in this paradigm of the world I'm talking about. Everyone, based on the nature of who we are, we have a God.
Yep. Everyone has a
And
God. Depends on what it
and
is.
so if you don't have a God, you're in fucking denial. You're not understanding the mechanism of the brain and the way the brain functions. And that's what you're saying. We've abandoned that space, but we didn't. It is. And so we
Then we
filled
build
it with this fucking what you called absurdity.
Yeah, absurdism. Like it's basically radical existential sexual absurdism, right? Where because
Does
if you
that
think about
work?
it,
Am I understanding that correctly? Does
Yeah.
that paradigm work kind of for like, I'm just
Well,
trying to understand it. I'm not trying to state a truth.
No, I mean, yeah, you're making a claim, but like we also have, from a philosophical perspective, we have known this. Like people, when you
I
remove,
just learned it. I just learned it.
like no, I say that like even the quote of like there's a famous evangelist in the early 1900s who said that like you don't have no God, you just have something else, right?
Right.
And that truism about human, which is one evidence of the soul and non materialism, right, is that people are kind of the same for generation to generation. They struggle with the same things. They have the same identity crises, and they want bonds, they want love, they want justice, right? So our society, in an effort to, I think, at a good faith effort, basically abandoned the principles that actually created tolerance and freedom, and then inserted itself into this like self-destructive, attacking type of morality that exists in society, right? That justice became heavily oriented towards vengeance, right? And like the idea of like grace and forgiveness, which the only idea you can have grace and forgiveness is humanization, right? No scapegoating. You're a human. I know you did something wrong, but I seek reconciliation. Our new sort of social norms or civil virtue is no forgiveness, no grace, right? Absolute sort of like tyrannical morality, right?
Yeah.
And it's because we gave ground. We gave ground in a good faith effort, but then from giving ground, the tolerance then was filled with other morality and other forms of justice that are, I think, remarkably like evil and satanic and 100% mistreat people and don't see them as a full reflection of who they are in front of God, and has created this society that we like are struggling with through today, which is we giving ground to these people. We don't really know why. They just sort of they just sort of stood there, right? And now we're all like kind of hostages, and it's still like a minority. It's a smaller portion. The majority of people aren't like this, but a very vocal, a very aggressive, a very driven minority wants to own that ground and control what other people say, what they think, what they do, and how they behave. Versus the other portion are kind of like what you just said, which is more my disposition. It's like, if you want to do that, that's fine. I'm going to love you through that. And God loves you. You can do whatever you want. It's your choice, right? But the smaller minority are what I call like sin hunters, right? So and it's a behavior that exists in human civilization. It's not like new. This isn't like a new thing. Like you can think of the most famous example. This is the Inquisition, of course. Like, but there are other examples too. But like that's a more famous one, or the Salem witch trials, right? This idea of sin hunting, right, where the people that exist around you are only as valuable as how righteous they are, right? Which is horrible and like and very dehumanizing, right?
Tolerance versus, you explained it earlier in another way too. It's cool to hear you say it this way. Tolerance versus promotion.
Acceptance versus promotion,
right?
Yeah.
Right. Like if you're a Christian and you just fucking hate gays, I think something might be wrong with you, right? I mean, just to hate someone.
Yeah, I would say Christians are not our problem today in our society. It's actually secular people who hate other people, right? And because they believe they have this possession of this high ground and this control over civilization and society, and Christians are actually very on the other side. But also like we should be intellectually honest that the framework of liberty and freedom can only be held to the tradition of Christianity. Like the whole idea behind civilization, democracy, being a republic, human rights, civil rights is directly connected to Christian ideas. And then second to that would be Jewish ideas. And it's built on really strong metaphysical ideas. Going back to we talked about Adam and Eve earlier, right? Like Imago Dei. Imago Dei applies to every single human. That is a Christian idea, right? Every single human is an image bearer of God that deserves human rights and respect, right? that is in the lineage and that theology of Christendom. And when you reject that idea, right, you fill it with, and it's things like we're going through these exercises that, like, if you read history, it's like it's all there, right? Like the existentialist movement in Germany and France created communism, which is basically the anti-theology of Christian ideas, which is like, you don't have a Imago Dei, you don't have human rights, you are not as valuable as an individual. You're not valuable as an individual. It's what you contribute. It's what's material, right? This is where our civilization is being pulled towards, which I think we'll get out of it because America has gone through this several times before, and we've always kind of escaped it because it's part of just the struggle we are in a civilization, or sorry, as a cultural society, I should say. But that when you abandon those Christian ideas that actually create the ability to be free, you should suspect that another metaphysical component, another metaphysical framework will insert itself in, because humans cannot live without morality. They cannot live without ethics. And that was a failure of the new atheists. That was a failure of neoliberalism. That's a failure of a lot of libertarian ideas, is to think that you just live and you're fine, right? No, you need frameworks of what is good, what is bad, and laws need to be reflecting of that. And if you don't have, like, another basic principle, right, is the framework around biblical justice, right? Like the idea of being having a jury of your peers, being able to defend yourself, being able to not say something, right? These are all Christian principles around that you deserve that, even if you did something super horrible, right? And our laws reflect that, which is why all the founding fathers, probably like half of them were actually Christian. The other half, I would say, probably not, honored the Bible. Because they knew this is the only way to be free. I mean, John Adams literally says, John Adams is an open atheist. He literally writes to his wife that he's an atheist. He's like, I only go to church because it helps other people be good. But like, I'm an atheist. Like, he said that to his wife, right, in a letter. And actually, one of the great stories of like a good marriage is like his wife was awesome. And is like, she would write these letters back to him being like, do you want me to save this? Because I think you think this is important. He goes, yeah, you should save this. So we have great collection of Adam's letter because of his wife. And but Adams has a super famous quote that tells you the heart and the orientation of the founding fathers that created the most free country and most prosperous country ever to exist, that has expanded freedom to the point where, like, you know, we are a benevolent imperial power, right? Where we literally will destroy your country, rebuild it, make you free. And we've done that like 6 times, right? We're the only imperial power to ever do that, right? So, and that's because these extension of the religious framework that we had. John Adams says that freedom can I'll summate, because he's more beautiful and poetic than I am. That only a free people, religion is the only guarantee of a free people, essentially what he said. That religion provides the internal code, the internal check, so that you can be free and you can say, that's bad. I don't need a law for that. I'm just not going to do that, because that's what those are things that bad people do, right? And we've vacated that ground to where we are super obsessed with passing laws and implementing things, when in reality it's just like, if the rule was just be a good person and have integrity and have honor and have respect, you don't need to call the police for everything. You don't need to like have a social worker. Just like be a good person and reflect those good values. And we sort of abandon that because we're like, oh, like tolerance and just kind of do whatever you want. Tolerance can only exist, I believe, in a Judeo-Christian framework. It cannot exist in any other framework, because the metaphysics behind any other framework does not support that, does not believe in human rights, does not believe in equity in terms of the value of every individual human life. They believe in these other representative frameworks, like, you know, like, for example, communism or material existentialism, like that believes in what you produce. Whatever you produce is how you're valued, which is why communism killed 150 million people. Because it viewed those people as not worth it, right? Or there's other ideologies, obviously, that are destructive.
Listen, I don't fucking call the police for everything. I need a dick in me. Listen. I told one story.
A dude is definitely behind that account, man.
I've never called the cops on anything ever. What'd you call the cops? I don't know the story.
A car rammed another car and they were fighting each other on the free, and then they got onto the freeway.
I don't see the issue. What's wrong with calling the cops about it? You were just trying to hey guys.
Yeah, and when you have a kid in the car and there's fucking cars ramming each other, but these fucking assholes. Okay. Actually, that's not true. I told another story where I called the cops too.
And then another one.
No, I told one other one where there was a guy calling two young college girls fucking cunts and yelling at them and calling them fat and all this shit. Yeah, beach guy said thank you for keeping track of my fucking cock calls.
Does she know you, or is that?
Yeah, all these fuckers know me. These fucking dudes are in my dreams. Okay. By the way, you're fucking so fun to listen to, Aaron. This is good shit. This is you are
Chat GPT.
No, with a soul. You put things in my brain that I don't I haven't unfolded that are like folded up nice and neat, and I can't wait to open them later. Like I feel like I can't, like you're giving me clothes to hang in my closet that I can open later, and I really like it. Okay, I want to show you one more thing. How are you on time? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to read this to you. I sent this to some of my friends who love Chick-fil-A.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, ready? Chick-fil-A is one of America's favorite fast food chains, and it's also renowned as a Christian-owned establishment. But what fans just found out on the company's website has many shocked. On Tuesday, many fans took to the social media to post a section of the company's website that reveals food giant Chick-fil-A's commitment toward embedding diversity, equity, and inclusion in everything we do. And basically, those of us who follow what that means is basically it's racism and it's fascism and Nazism in my mind at the fucking highest level. It's basically not rewarding people for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And dismissing people for the wrong reasons. When you see why are they doing this? I thought Chick-fil-A was I thought they were the good guys. I'm not a Christian, but I want to love Christianity. Like someone in here was like, I like the 10 Commandments. I like all that shit. I'm down. I've never heard anything about Jesus. I even liked it when he flipped the table over.
Well, I mean, yeah, he would be flipping the table over DEI for sure. But
what is Chick-fil-A doing?
I mean, you have to realize that companies are, what's the right word for it?
Is that the CEI thing? Is that the CEI thing I keep hearing about?
Diversity, equity, inclusion as DEI, or
no, but there's like a rating now that George Soros has forced all. Did you know about this thing? Is that part of that thing?
What is that called? No, I mean, I thought that was more environmental focused. Rather than. But
you're right.
Yeah, because the problem is that and at least in let's say speaking of this from Christian perspective is that it is good to have a diverse church, and that is both said by Paul and Jesus and Peter and in James. And so, but what is the context of what they're saying that, right? Is
I think what they mean is just having big chairs and little chairs and stairs and big windows and little windows. That's what I think.
Corners for Hiller,
big crosses, small crosses. Yeah. When they meant diverse church, they meant the actual structure needs to be varied to accommodate.
So since Chick-fil-A is a Christian company, so the context there that they're writing is that, and this is how wild our society has become, that when they're writing about these things, so for example, there's a famous Galatians 2 verse that they're to a Greek, to a Jew, to a Samaritan, right, to a woman, and what Paul's saying there is the fact of the equality of the gospel to all people, right? But the framework of what they're speaking to is back in that time, right? So are you familiar with the story of the woman at the well? Are you familiar with that at all, or the Samaritan?
Tell me, I like all the Bible stories. Tell me, I like woman at the well. I want to meet a woman at the well.
So she, so it kind of gives, I think, a framework, I think, of how to be healthy in terms of diversity and inclusion versus unhealthy. So there was a group of people that were called the Samaritans that were considered essentially non-human, basically. And what they were original Israel that inbred with the local Canaanites or Philistines or Mennonites or anything like that. So not Mennonites, Canaanites and Philistines, right? So they developed a new name for them, which is basically more like half-breed. And so Jews did not view them as human. They viewed them as subhuman, as in something else, right? And literally they all more or less look the same, right? But the cultural ethnic identity was different because of how the tribe of Israel viewed themselves. And so you have the story of Jesus, who basically meets people who are of this and shows grace to them. And that is the sort of radical expression of the gospel, is that, like, imagine for us the most radical, like, unity, right, you could ever imagine. So let's say with, Donald Trump and I don't even know, like
Joe Biden,
right, saying that
having a
love each other.
hookah
Yeah,
together,
right, and that peacemaking event, right, and that is actually how the gospel is presented, is that the people that we view are other than, far from, you can reconcile to, and actually God wants you to, right? And those people who actually divide lines and claim the Lord's name in vain, like, what's the story of turning over the tables? Why is that story in the gospel? It's because these people were extracting money in the name of the Lord, so violating the Lord's name, right? Saying the Lord's name in vain doesn't mean swearing; it actually means to carry. So why Jesus is doing that is these people are claiming to be representations of Him, and they're not, and they're actually abusing people who are coming into the temple. And basically taking their money for no reason. So those people Jesus was very aggressive with, which is why he debated the Pharisees so much and the Sadducees, is because they're claiming his name into things that are not true. For the people who
almost like opening a church to raise as a business as opposed to a place.
So they are taking the Lord's name in vain. So for these examples of people who are far from God, like the lepers, the orphans, the widows, right? These are people who don't claim anything and actually are so far from society, right, that he reaches out to them and shows them grace and love and says, actually, you are part of the kingdom of God, right? So the orientation here is, like, it is true, the fact of, like, humans are innately valuable, independent of their race and their religion, their politics, right? That's all true, right? And the fact is, like, that God is diverse, and the fact of, like, the most orthodox, lovely Christians I've ever met are in Africa or in the Middle East, right? They actually have not been here. The most generous, loving Christians I've ever met were actually overseas, right? Here, we sort of view religion as this, like, Greek god sort of, like, imaginary thing. You go to other countries, right, which is, by the way, most of the world, right, other countries, and you see religion, and you see it's like real, it's authentic, it's like a serious consideration, right? And when I went to Israel, my tour guide was essentially he was a PhD in archaeology. He was part of the special forces in Israel. He's actually in one of his Netflix shows. His character is like him, and he's like, it's a one called Mossad, I think, or something like that. And you see, like, religion there is like, it's like a real thing, because it's not like this imaginary, like, oh, like this picture of Jesus who's like white and Greek and whatever is hanging on the cross. Like, you literally walk down, the road that, like, every historian believes that he, like, walked down. And so the question there, which is a totally different question that we have in our society, is, like, do you follow or don't you follow, right? And the Jews there, if you ask, Israelis, say, are you an atheist? They're like, no, that's weird, right? But their whole lifestyle is opposite of the Torah, right? And you say, no, I just don't follow God, right? It's a totally different perspective. Versus here, where, like, people say, oh, I'm an atheist and don't believe in God. Like, there you go, where religion is real, right? There's literally a building here. Like, archaeology says this actually happened. They're like, no, the question is, do you follow or don't you follow, right? And I think our culture needs to shift back to that, rather than believing that we're like this completely free agent, that we can define whatever word we want, we can be whoever sort of we want, and that sort of perspective of, like, subjectivity to words, right? There is a question of, like, there is truth, right? The question is, do I follow it or don't I follow it, right? That's a much more healthy perspective in terms of freedom than what you have in our society, which is like, we're just going to define however we want. Liberty is going to be oppression because I said so, right? Like wokeism is oppression. Is nothing about it is free. It is Marxism at its root, right? But they say, oh, it's liberation. You're like, no, you literally bastardize a word to sell your ideas. And you are torturing people, like literally torturing people, forcing them to do something, to put up a civil expression of your morality, which is like the flags and stuff like that. People aren't doing that freely, right? It's just like from a like identity perspective of, like, let's say the people who actually truly have that identity, it's always going to be super small, right? Like just from a biological, statistical perspective, it's just true, right? So you're literally forcing people to do something, right? And that's what is, like, choking our society. It's choking innovation, it's choking growth, it's choking culture, it's choking everything, right? But it can't last, right? Because it's fundamentally built on truths about humanity and civilization that's just, like, not going to last. Either, like, our civilization will implode on itself, because of this absurdity that we're going through. Or we'll come out the other side. Most likely we need a war to do that. Unfortunately, it's a very unfortunate truth about humanity that we probably need a war, or reframe everything, or poverty. We'll reframe everything being, oh, okay, wait, we have to reorder things into truths again because reality has hit us. We don't have this endless spending spree. We don't have endless superpower to project our insanity to the world. We have to live in reality again, right? And because right now we're just warring at each other, right? So much of our culture just hates itself, and then China is over here just like ho-humming along, right? And taking over the world through economics. And then we're over here kind of like bickering and hating on each other and completely distracted from actually what the end game is. Like China's very focused on the end game. And we're just like playing around with these like flags and getting obsessed with celebrities, getting obsessed with politicians. And China's like slowly going over here, like, moving and positioning itself. Because if America, this is how serious the situation is. And this is why, like, when I first met Greg to like now, even his politics has changed, is that like there's a unity behind people who actually believe in democracy and freedom, right? There's this unity of like, even like say specifics on policy, all three of us would disagree, but the orientation of society, we are 100% aligned on, which is this idea of like self-respect, integrity. You are free to do what you want. Don't impose on me, right? But these other entities in our society do not believe that. And so there is a new unity that's forming a new coalition, but like, the seriousness of the situation is like, if America disappears or becomes, let's say, an aging United Kingdom, the world is effed for a very, very long time. Like, we're talking about like massive wars, massive death, starvation, poverty. Like it will be another level dark ages. So America needs to get its crap together, because if we don't fight, there's literally nobody. Like, who's going to show up? Who's going to show up to defeat China or Russia or whoever? Nobody. No one. Like, we are it. We are the last line. So we need to be like super serious about like around, AI, being rich, being powerful, winning again. Because if we don't, and this is why so many people want to, like, what is the expression of Trumpism? It's really simple. It's that America should win. That's all. That's it. That's the only thing he really won on. Everything else is like secondary, right? Because he was even confused himself about a lot of these ideas. Like, what is a border wall? What is this? What is citizenship? Right? Like, really, he ran on America should win, and Americans need to get behind that, because if we don't, billions of people will suffer, right? That's how serious of the mission it is. That's random crap around culture wars and things like that. Like, get out of your own head, dude. It's like there is a serious conflict brewing, and we're distracted with these other little games that are going on that people make money on, that people are grifters. Like, they just take money from the pains and sins of our past to try to shame us and to believe in a history that's not true. Like the 1619 Project. It's totally made up. Like, it literally didn't happen, right? That's a New York Times bestseller. It's false history. Like,
it's in schools. It's being taught to our kids.
It didn't happen. Like, it's incredible. It's like, and then you press, the author and people support it, and like, oh, but it's like my experience representation. What does that mean? Like, it's like, you're supposed to be a historian. You can't be like, oh, like Sevan.
It's the girl that has a penis. It's the girl that has a penis.
Yeah. Sorry, a little tangent there. So
no, dude, that was fucking brilliant. The thing with Trump is very interesting, that the goal that it should be just to win. I was just thinking the other day about how, and I voted for all these people, Clinton and Hillary. When I used to hear, and I remember hearing Trump's first State of the Union, and I didn't vote for him, and I hated him when I listened to it. And I remember leaving that State of the Union thinking, wow, that was fucking really good. I feel really good after listening to that. Yeah. And then I thought back to all the Democrats I heard give State of the Unions, and it was always like, there's problems. AIDS is looming. Cancer is looming. War is looming. There was never go out and seize the day.
Yeah.
And every time I heard Trump give a speech, I was like, wow, I'm motivated to go out and participate and contribute to society and be a better person and to make life better. And then I was like, oh shit, those people, that's their whole thing, to point at the problems and sort of keep this. Yeah. And I've had to put aside any of my personal beliefs on Trump's mannerisms, his nuances, any of those things, to realize, like, I want to be part of the winning team. I want to be part of the winning team that has morals and values.
Yeah.
No, and it's okay if they're higher than mine, even better.
Yeah, like Trump has significant moral issues, right? Massive, right? But all the politicians do. He just is open about it. Everyone else hides it, right?
Oh,
All
yeah,
of them
yeah,
are,
yeah.
you
And
know, all of
I
them are
just
bad,
meant,
right?
and
Yeah.
I just meant some of his like behaviors of like the stupid things, like when he was in Puerto Rico and he was shooting 3-pointers with the paper towels, and like I was like judging him for that, and it's like
Yeah.
that shouldn't have even entered my. I've had to rewire myself.
And that's because like I mean, again, this is independent of like his own disposition and his own moral standing, but like fundamentally, that's like what he ran on, was that America can do it. That was really it. Like it can have a solution. It can fix this problem, right? It's a weird thing that he ran on, which and he's running on again, which is this like very negative, but then very like optimistic, right? It's like a weird kind of thing. It's like it's really bad, but we can do it, right? And then people are like, yes, let's go, right? And that is, but in the history of like American politics, Trump is very normal, like Andrew Jackson, JFK, like Teddy Roosevelt. Like these are all expressions of like Andrew Jackson. Did you know he lost his first election, right? His supporters viewed it was stolen. And technically, it was he lost through a congressional compromise because there I think it was 3 or 4 states had questionable voting practices. So it was done through a congressional deal, and he lost, even though he actually gained the most electoral votes, but not enough to become president. So the congressional compromise picked somebody else, and they moved the votes over, and then that became president. So then he runs again, right, and wins to in the second and for when the other guy's running for re-election, and then he wins another term, right? So Andrew Jackson, who was obviously the founder of the Democratic Party, ran as a populist. He ran, his core argument was that we should not be run by Virginians and New Yorkers. Like you should be run by the average American, right? And it was actually, he was running against the founding fathers, basically. The idea that like we should just continue to have this longevity of people who are a connection to the founding fathers. So the populism strain in America is real. It's just it's part of like our ethos. I mean, Reagan was another populist president, right? Jimmy Carter, right? Now the crazy thing about Trump is that he says the quiet part out loud, right? That's the thing that really bothers people, right? And it's independent if it's true or not true. Like, yeah, stop that programmatic in your face. Don't think in moral lens, just think in objective lens. He says quiet part.
Famous people can grab pussy. That's like everyone knows that's true, but.
I mean, look at Epstein. I mean, how else? Like there are all these things that like we know, kind of internalizing in our dialogue or in our private conversation. He says what in private, in public.
And what's interesting about that is he also did say that in private, and it was recorded, which is interesting.
Yeah, too. And but you know, like again, I would never say that. Like I would never say those types of things, even in private, right? But again, like all these people are in mass. I mean this for both parties. They're all pretty similar shades of morality. So like, let's not put one above the other, right? They're all kind of in the same ilk in circles, right? And now the question is, what do they do? I'm much more interested in that. What's the actual outcomes, right? And to a lot of my Christian friends, they view the morality of the individual much higher. I don't, because there are really great, highly moral presidents that I've studied or I have met that were terrible, right? One of the greatest examples is Jimmy Carter. Great man. Utterly great man. Right, like loves Jesus, like real Christian, has spent his whole life after presidency serving other people. Presidency did one really great thing, or say two. Yeah. Everything was disaster. Right. And that one great thing was the peace deal between Egypt and Israel. And then the second was deregulation of the airlines. And so, but outside that, it's terrible, right? Versus like you have really great presidents, right, that were moral kind of shortcomings. Like I think Lincoln was a great president. From a moral perspective, kind of debatable if he was a Christian. I think he was kind of agnostic. Individually with his family, like, you know, Abigail's wife was like, had lots of mental problems, and his whole like personal life was really depressing. Like if you read it, the biography, like he actually was very jovial. Like he was very funny. He had a very dark sense of humor. But his like personal life is so depressing and sad. You're like, how did this guy even like not commit suicide, right? And so I think like this is where the interconnection of like separating out that the moral failings of the individual in elected office, it should be judged independently of like what they actually do, because people are complicated and you have to be empathetic to that. Another great example is Thomas Jefferson's my favorite founding father. Not president, Thomas Jefferson. He's my favorite founding father, but not president. But like as an example, right? Do you know the first thing that he ever co-sponsored in the House of Burgesses in Virginia was the freeing of slaves in Virginia, allowing it to be legal. And he owned slaves. So how do you square that, right? People are complicated, right? People like have we can't look at the past and just be like inject our morality, right? People are really complicated on what they're trying to do and what the goals are trying to achieve. He inserted the end of the slave trade, and to his letters to his French counterparts in France, he wrote that slavery was the scourge and original sin of British colonization, right? But he owned slaves, right? So like, it's super complex, right? And so you have to be, as we ourselves are complex, we all have, relationships that have failed that we made mistakes on. Should we be judged for those mistakes, or should we be judged based on the good deeds we do, right? Like, people are immensely complex. And obviously, like, we have Sevan, you and I have very famous mutual friends, right? And they're very well known. That people said lots of really bad things about. And like, I don't judge them for that, because one, you should go read all this stuff about COVID and me. I mean, I've been called I'm literally like half Asian, and people call me a white supremacist to everything.
You're not, are you?
Right? No, of course not.
He is Asian.
Yeah, see. You can tell when I smile. You can tell. But you have to be empathetic, and like, again, going back to even the idea of like Christendom and freedom, viewing people as humans, that we all have shortcomings, we all have made mistakes in relationships, we've all had mistakes in work and statements, but that you have to view them from a whole person perspective, and try to treat them and see them as what I believe is how God sees them.
Do you have any blue-haired friends? Do you have any just like crazy, just off the chart?
I have family members. I have family members that were trans before ever was cool, and I have family members that span all sense of the acronym people. And
I don't mean that. I don't mean that. I don't mean like real things. Like, do you have any friends who they think that they're basically woke? I don't consider gay people woke. I don't consider trans people woke. I mean, like, they think that they're doing something positive for society when they are at root. They're demanding that everyone see blacks as inferior, but claiming that the world is racist.
I don't consider them friends. I would consider them buddies or acquaintances that they want to debate me, because I can't be a friend with somebody like that. Because it's
a trip. But what about the part that we're supposed to reconcile that stuff?
Well, reconciliation doesn't mean you're going to be friends with them again. It just means like you're coming to terms with what happened and you have an agreement on next steps, right? Restoration would be like returning back to original, right? And by the way, like, I had lots of relationships that have been restored, and it's a great example of God's grace and the fact that Christianity is true, because we restore based on Christ and not like our own individual sins or our own strengths and weaknesses. But like reconciliation, like in the Christian theology perspective, we are required to forgive people within the church 100%. Like, there is no. So what you hear, if you hear a Christian tell you they didn't forgive somebody who was also another Christian, they're living in an unbiblical manner. You're supposed to always forgive people, right? Who wrong you. Now, reconciliation is deeply encouraged, but may not happen to people in the church, right? And because
is forgive different than accept? Is forgive different than accept?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So forgiveness would be like,
forgiveness makes me feel like it's still on the books. I don't want anything on the books.
No, it's not on the books. It means that you like, the way I try to be practical. The way that I express forgiveness is I try to want the best for the other person.
Okay.
Right. And I let go of like what wrong was done with me, and I give that to God, and I want God to treat the other person that has wronged me with the maximum grace and love possible, so that they have an awesome life. Right. And so then the next phase has become the reconciliation. Reconciliation is where you can begin a new relationship, right? And that's where you come into terms with things like what happened, why this happened, how do you feel, how do I feel?
You don't think that there's a self-righteous thing, thinking there's a little bit of self-righteousness every time you think someone did you wrong, someone stole your car, and you think it's wrong, and there's a little bit of self-righteousness in there because you're claiming that you know what the plan is? Well, and that therefore you should accept instead of forgive. That's what I mean by accept. Like for me, I don't ever lend anyone anything. If you come to my house and you want something, you can just have it.
Mhm.
or you can't have it, or I just
Noted.
tell you no. but I don't,
As you're
because I
saying,
don't
yeah.
want anything. I don't want anything on the books, because I feel like
Just a
that
nice
that
laptop.
takes energy from me. Like I don't want. Do you
Mhm.
know what I'm trying to say here? Like your girlfriend cheats on you, but then it's about you. And at some point, like I get why it stings at first like that, but like an alchemist,
Mhm.
you have to like then not forgive her, but accept it.
Well, acceptance is just the realization of what happened, right? It doesn't address justice, right? Because there still has to be justice because
She has to be flogged.
right? Like, no, like, well, I guess it depends what she did. Maybe she flogged you. You can flog in return, right? But you want to have from a Christian perspective, you want to have like a heart trying to seek reconciliation and forgiveness as soon as possible. But whether or not you get restored is the question of like, do you have a relationship going forward, right? And
How about the
that's
guy?
hard
How about the
part.
guy who didn't install my shit and I paid him $15,000?
Yeah,
He's
you should
dead.
reconcile over
I
that.
know
Right now,
he's dead. I
Yeah.
don't forgive him or not forgive him. I just fucking accept it, and I'm like, and I'm not even upset. I'm just like, wow,
Yeah.
that was a fucking crazy 5-year trip.
like restoration, like you and I have multiple examples in our CrossFit friend community where the COVID thing was like division, right?
Right.
And reconciliation, restoration happens when you basically like bring to what happened. I'm probably gonna do this today with one of my friends that we kind of had a distant period for a year, and now we're back engaged with each other in terms of like regularly hanging out. And I'm gonna have a real conversation with him. He also does CrossFit, and be like, "Hey, dude, we need to reconcile what happened a year and a half ago. Like, I love you as my friend, and you're awesome, and I'm happy like we are like hanging out and like good friends again. But we just need to come to terms. Obviously, I choose you, right? Like, we're literally hanging out again and all this stuff. So it's just like, what happened? How do we both feel about it? Do we disagree or don't agree? Or sorry, do we disagree? Do we agree? Discuss those terms, and then move into restoration, which is just like, what do we do going forward, right? It may be like, hey, we don't agree, we're at terms, like
You guys
boundaries.
can start fighting
right?
again.
No,
Have you ever been in a fist fight?
Yes.
Did you win?
Well, I mean, it was in a mosh pit, so I don't remember.
Oh, so it was a group fight, not one.
Yeah. It was a metal band. Yeah. So
And how old are you?
How old am I right now, or then?
Yeah.
I'm 35.
Okay. I thought you were younger.
Yeah,
So-
it's the Asian, like, no
God,
wrinkles.
I wish I was Asian.
Do you have any gray? You don't have any gray hair yet, Aaron?
I have a little bit. Statistically, Asians start graying late 30s. So I'm starting to get a little bit of gray.
Thanks for coming on, dude. You're fucking awesome. I really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it, man. I'm actually happy we didn't talk about AI because this other stuff is more fun. So
Yeah, this is it. It's nuts. It's you can't be pigeonholed. You can't be
Well, I'll pigeonhole him.
You can't.
Actually, I can't. I don't think I can.
You can't be pigeonholed.
You're right.
Do you know what
you
I
definitely
noticed?
live more than me for sure.
You ever seen Lord of the Rings?
Of course, yeah.
All right, carry on.
There's this. You have some ideas that require. So let's say a painting's on a postcard and it's 4 by 6 inches.
Mm-hmm.
You have some ideas that require big canvases, and it's interesting to watch the comments who will tolerate that and who
Mm-hmm.
won't, right? Like some people just want to be told, hey, I can't think of an example off the top of my head. But anyway, I appreciate your ability to really, for people who have the attention span, to paint a full picture and to give lots of data points and different historical stories, anecdotal stories, new words, new signposts to point at your ideas. I mean, you're fucking so cool.
No, I appreciate it, man. I've given my heart to trying to, I don't remember where it'd be like, I guess the way I would conclude with this is that at the end of my life, when I go home to heaven, I just want God to say faithful, good and faithful servant, right? And that means living the life that God has designed for me. And that's not the life that everybody has. And so God's put every single person on their own journey. And something I believe is your life will become a painting. If infinitely more colorful, creative, and beautiful when you let God paint it for you. And that means different moments in life that could be really challenging. And he's wearing, it's true.
And that's the proof that you're not married.
Not married, no. Dating, but not married. Yes, dating, but not married. So, although, I mean, whatever. I know lots of people who were backwards hat.
Did you go to Catholic school?
No, I'm not. No, I grew up secular humanist and went to public school, and I became agnostic when I was like 16-ish, and then I became Christian late 17-ish, 18. And my family is I'm the only Christian in my entire family, so all cousins and stuff like that. So maybe one or two, maybe, but like if you're kind of a maybe as a Christian, you're probably not a Christian. So
what's something what would you recommend for Christians or non-Christians alike to understand the importance between liberty, the fabric, the foundation of this country, and Christianity, and why it's so important that it stays together regardless if you're Christian or not? It's like, yo, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, it doesn't matter that you're not Christian. You don't have to oppose it or hate it.
Probably. So there are 2 books I'd recommend. So one would be Why the West Won, which is written by an atheist historian, who basically describes the arc of science, culture, art, and why Christendom was very unique to create free society. The other one. Oh yeah, see, yeah. I think the rise and triumph of the modern self is amazing.
Wait, say that again.
The rise and triumph of the modern self.
The rise and triumph of the modern self.
I think it's just. Let me see the modern self. Let me make sure I'm saying it right. It's by Carl. Yeah, The Rise of the Modern Self. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Carl who?
Let's see.
Just Carl. He's got one name.
Yeah. He doesn't have a. Carl Truman and Rod Dreher, or no, Rod Rutherford. So it's just Carl Truman. It outlines so much of like what has caused our current social situation. Then I would probably do. Let's see. No, it does. So I'd say those 2, and then I'm looking at my library right now. Okay, one more. So do the Girard reader, Rene Girard.
Rene Girard. All right.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
He's a Catholic sociologist that's taught at Stanford. He developed scapegoat theory, and scapegoat theory kind of explains most of our psychological patterns in our society now. And he actually is the guy that persuaded Peter Thiel, one of the most famous venture capitalists in the world, to become a Christian. And the Girard reader is so amazing because it discusses these behaviors that we victimize, we blame, we create scapegoats, we try to create unity around scapegoats, and that creates this massive self-destructive pattern and victimization culture to hurting people who are like hurting people who we love because we're trying to create new unity between people and scapegoating them, right? And probably anything by Thomas Sowell as well. White rednecks, black liberals is my favorite. Such an amazing book. God, such an amazing book.
Say the name of that book again. Is that Why Red? Oh yeah. I haven't read that book, but I was just listening to a lecture on his about redneck culture and about how God,
it's so good.
Yeah,
C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis would be
The Horse and His Boy, Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
I would say my favorite C.S. Lewis is
Silver Chair. Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe. Come on.
No, I would say.
I know.
You can find Aaron on Substack. Do people actually use Substack?
I mean, I do.
Yeah. Is it big?
I'd probably say The Abolition of Man. by C.S. Lewis, and then his letters about his friendship with Tolkien which is in Manifesto and Friendship. His letter on friendship, which I think is called, the whole book's called Four Loves, I think, is incredible. His stuff on relationships is great. So
Substack did they pull down? Oh no, it was Medium who pulled down your article.
Yeah.
Hey, why do you write? Sorry, I'm going to let you go, but why do you write? For discipline, or what? Why do you write?
No, it's usually
therapy?
it's internal dialogue to, it helps a lot of my friends. So example, like the first, the Manifesto on Friendship, it actually got around, as I was texting you about, it got around on Fox News.
Yeah.
And some people reached out to me saying, and it's immensely meaningful to me. It's beautiful. It's like,
it's so good. It's so good.
It's like, this is the most beautiful things I've read in a long time. This makes so much sense. For the nice guy stuff, I've had people like come up to me randomly and be like, "Hey, I follow you," and I'm like, "Oh, I have no idea who you are." And they're like, "I read your nice guy thing," and I'm like, "Oh, it's great." And they're like, "Yeah, it like changed my life. Like I was just realizing how much identity I was finding in approval from other people, and they feel liberated, right?" And so that's been the motivation for me to like continue writing some of the stuff, is that like the COVID thing. Like I wrote that article, and then it was wild. Like Greg reaches out to me. I'm like, holy crap, Greg Glassman just reached out to me, right? And I was just doing it as I was just doing it for my friends. Like they were like, hey, put this on Medium. I was like, okay, so I did. I was writing it, just sharing on Google Docs and stuff. And so the nice guy thing, the friendship thing, by coming out one on Jesus wasn't nice. I'm working on nice guy in relationships. That's gonna be really brutal. That's gonna be really hard for people to read. And this is just all stuff that like either I've gone through or like I'm just personally interested, passionate about.
Nice guy in relationships, like relationships, like intimate relationships, like nice guys in like men-women relationships. Yeah, that's nice guys get fucked.
Yeah, and
I don't mean that. I don't mean that metaphorically either. Or
well,
I don't mean that literally. I don't mean that literally. I mean,
and the problem, right, with nice guys is that in relationships, right, is that they don't view themselves as responsible, and that's ultimately the fix to all their problems. It's like you are responsible for the situation because you can't stop it. You got to take control, right? And also to like I'm going to write something probably on narcissism probably pretty soon, and because I have.
Are you going to have kids? You think?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. That's the goal.
Yeah.
So, but in the meantime, like not to go on another tangent before we conclude. So if you want to know, yeah, I do. Of course I have. Yeah. Like I know Oz personally. Yeah. He's an amazing man. He's great. So actually this is all connected. Oh my gosh, this is great. Great conclusion. So Oz Guinness was discipled by a guy named Francis Schaeffer. Francis Schaeffer changed my life. He wrote a book called Christian Manifesto, and he built this kind of commune thing called L'Abri. L'Abri means shelter in French. He built it in the Swiss Alps, and he discipled Os Guinness. And this man, Francis and his wife, changed Christendom forever. Almost every major Christian theologian has had some connection to Francis Schaeffer. And what he did at L'Abri was very simple, but also immensely profound, is people could come stay there for as long as they wanted, be discipled by him and his wife. They just lived on the farm and lived in this house, and they invested in them. So that's what I do until I'm married, is that I built this house, and on the Front Range, my window right here faces the mountains. Dudes come here, get discipled, help turn boys into men, and invest in them, help them in their life, help them get married, help them work through their problems. And I love it. It's seeing.
Was that the goal when you built that place there? That's the place I visited you at, right?
Yeah, that was the goal. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that.
And so my heart's for good men to rise up in society, and for women to have good men to marry, and to make like generation after generation, and like start rebuilding what's gone wrong in our society. So I feel blessed to have, over 100 men now. I have a list of 100 men that like I've impacted, and that have, of course their writings and all that stuff is great too. And I'm deeply thankful for that. But these individual, lives that have the trajectory shifted, and I save messages, right? I have messages from people who like, walked away from our friendship or something like that, and they came back like a year later and were apologetic, and and saw what I was trying to do and help them in their life. And I save all those, right? Because, we may not be friends with them going forward, but they, for example, for one of them, he rebelled against everything that I taught him. But I introduced him to a girl I was dating. And I said, hey, we're not going to work out because my life, I just want to have a different life than you do. But I introduced them to each other. And when they got married, she thanked me. She sent me a letter. She thanked me for helping make him a man.
Wow.
And then he messaged me, and they have 4 kids now.
Wow.
He's running a business. Another guy.
Could you hold on 1 second? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
This is a weird show. So Luke, go ahead. Sorry. What's the problem? What? Go ahead.
I'm just at the park right now. I had a lesson at 9:30.
Okay.
But power washing the whole park, so my box is soaked right now.
Okay. Let's pivot.
Okay. I'm gonna do a lesson at Derby right now. Have you guys been to Derby before?
I have. Hey, could I call you like in 10 minutes? Okay. I love you. Peace and love.
Well, yeah. Anyways,
skateboarding instructor. Sorry, skateboarding instructor for the kids' 10:30 class. Sorry, it's a weird show,
okay.
Aaron. I'm telling you, it's a weird show.
Is that why Greg built a half pipe? Was for you to come over?
I hope so. I hope that's why. Yeah. So that's incredible that the guy's wife called you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's another couple. There's another couple that he was my best friend, and he ended up being addicted to all sorts of nefarious sexual things and drugs.
Yeah.
And so I had to take away his car and his credit card at the wish of his parents and his pastor, destroyed our entire friendship because he was dependent on me to do everything. And then he eventually moved out. He recovered, moved on his way. We didn't talk.
Nefarious sex stuff.
Yeah. And then he 2-3 years later, he gets married, and his wife they honor me at their wedding. I wasn't going to go, and then my friends encouraged me to go, so I did, because I haven't talked to them really in years. And then they acknowledged me at the wedding, saying that I sacrificed for them that created this pathway, and they have 3 kids now. And yeah, and in the Christian context, it gives me a little choked up. In the Christian context, that's what it's about, right?
Yeah.
It's just impacting people individually and being an actual individual hand of God in someone's life. And that may mean something that secularly wise, you don't prefer, like breaking ties and things like that. But in the end of the day, the ultimate goal is to redeem this world and to help people and to love on them so that they can be a faithful steward of what they've been given. And that's the goal, right? And so in terms of me being married, although whoever said that's I date plenty of times, so I would say that I just have a very particular way I want to live my life and invest my resources, and that's a very externalized thing. I want to in the street I'm on, right, that faces this mountain, right, that you've been to. I want to buy all the houses in the street, rebuild them, give them to my friends, and build a little subdivision, right, and have shared space, go
basketball hoop in the court,
yeah, and know each other, right, and be invested in each other's lives, and live together, because life is really, really hard, and it's super messy, and people who stay attached to us through that, just as Jesus did, right? What did you say is the ultimate expression of love? That a man would sacrifice for his friends, like John 5. So that expression of generosity and love is both, maybe come full circle, is both the expression of what can make a free society and what stabilizes a free society. The second is that power is completely lost in our civilization. And if we just return back to that, being like what you did with Greg, right? Which is an amazing story, right? It inspires people, right? Because that band of brothers thing that exists in all of our hearts, right, is there. And it's
he did for me. He let me live at his house rent free. So maybe he did it for me.
Yeah. I mean, but even, what he's building now, right? In Phoenix, you're and his current house, which is incredible. It's amazing. He's this is just my guest house. I was Greg, this is a freaking it's not a guest house, man. But he's so generous, right? He's just so open and wanting people in his life. And I remember when he was consolidating, he was like, "You want this truck?" I was like, "Greg, don't give me a truck. I don't want a truck from you, right? Right? I just want to be friends with you." And but that heart is missing in our society. That it's just this is just grace. Love it. There's no requirement here. There's no obligation. It's just love and just take it. those strong ties, I think, can really rescue our civilization and rescue men from, darkness, nice guy syndrome, appeasement, self-effacing, like self-flagellation. It's just that, and they'll experience this liberation. They're like courage, like the Tyler Durden thing. Like they'll experience this new self, this confidence, to be the man that God wants them to be, and it's incredible. And that journey, seeing so many men, so many couples. Like I've discipled, I think, up to now 15 married couples and remarried about 4 or 5 people who are divorced. Is awesome. It's just so great. And like whatever company I build, whatever, I'm on my 4th company. I'm very blessed with that. And I love being an entrepreneur, but it's all with the arc of using my resources to like love on people, that they may experience and encounter Jesus in a way that the Samaritan at the well, that this love and tenderness that, still imperfect because I'm not Christ, still make mistakes, still say sorry.
Pastor Ginn.
Yeah. Still say sorry. But that we need more sorries, more love, more grace, but also more truth and more principles, more kindness. Right. So all of that together, not just more anger and hate and division and all that stuff. So
awesome. Hey, you're welcome on the show anytime. Thank you so much, dude. You do, man.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, have a great day. I look forward to running into you soon.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Yeah, nice meeting you too. See ya.
Bye.
What's up?
I liked it in the beginning when people were just fucking trying to psychoanalyze you, and you had to put a stop to that.
I'm just sitting there soaking it up, dude. He's got many words.
So many good ideas. He's I see him just connecting dots. Is that what you see him doing?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like you, he's a connector.
He just does it with a different canvas.
Yeah, different data points.
More broad. I like the House of Men.
Paulina, that was cool. Is Paulina coming? Paulina, are you coming? Are we going to see Hillary? Going to see you this weekend? Are you coming out?
Paulina. I got a notification on this computer that tomorrow is the first day of LGBTQB plus day.
Oh,
I sent you a text.
That's probably like a default for
Check
Apple.
your text. I just sent you a picture.
Thank you. Great. That's probably on everyone who owns an Apple phone. That probably popped up on it today.
I thought that you actually put that into your computer just so you were aware. Right. And I'm like, dude, your computer's telling me. It's your schedule.
I don't even want Christmas in there. I don't want a birthday in there. I don't want any of that shit in my. I just need to know who's coming on the podcast and at what time.
You sound like Alexis.
Okay, I'm going to call the skateboarding instructor. Do you care if I do that real quick?
No.
Let me see what's going on. I have to pee so bad. Do you guys want to hear this, or should I just end the show? Hold on.
Who's calling you?
That was my sister. Don't be nosy. Okay.
What do you mean? I heard it.
Oh, shit. Okay, here he is. This guy's the best fucking skateboarding instructor.
My man. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. We're live on my podcast, just so you know.
Oh, for sure.
I had a guest on, and you called, and I interrupted the whole show.
Dude, that's my bad, dude.
No, it's not your bad at all. It's my love for you. It's the importance of you art in my life and in my kids' life.
My man, dude, I appreciate you immensely. I was just letting you know the Mike Fox city. The city is power washing it right now, so the park is like half soaked. So if you would like to switch the parks up, or whatever works, really.
Or bring our surfboards. If it's wet.
I do not have my surfboard.
Hey, okay, so should we just meet up at Scotts Valley at 10:30? You Derby, do you want to start with Derby? You want to start with Derby? We could do Derby.
I'm down, dude. I'm gonna be there, so if you guys want to try it out.
You'll be there at 10:30?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay. We'll do Derby at 10:30, and then we'll go grab a quick bite to eat after, and then maybe go. Are you free? Do you have a couple hours for a big posse?
Yeah, that should be good. My next lesson's at 2.
Okay, cool. All right. I'm gonna call Greg and see if I'm gonna drag his kids up there too. So
perfect, dude.
Okay. I'll be in touch. I'll text you, and I'll see you at Derby at 10:30.
Perfect. Thanks, Sevan.
All right, later, brother. a derby that you might want to come out there, even if you drive yourself, Hiller, and see that. I think it's the oldest skate park in the country.
No shit.
Sevi, if you'd like, I'll call from the Isle of Man next week. Let me know. Oh, dude, anytime if you were at the Isle of Man and we were live, I would interrupt any guest to fucking send you a link and fucking watch the motorcycles blow by, dude. That would be fucking awesome. And if you do that, bring some AirPods or something, Jake, so we can hear you good. I'd love to ask you some questions about that. Fucking psychos. Your whole island is fucking crazy. You know about the Isle of Man?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
fucking
yeah.
Nuts, right?
I think you talk about it more regularly than any other topic on the show.
Good. I don't want anyone to think I'm a pervert.
Who's the athlete that's affiliated out of there? The female athlete?
Dude. Amy Kringle. Vindicate, VNDK8.com. Sevan, your Kids CEO shirts are now available in case you missed it last night. Dude, first of all, I did miss it. Second of all, Hiller was there when the package got opened that you sent my kids.
The kids went, they were crazy.
Dude, it was nuts. It was nuts. They're fully into the CEO brand. They fucking love that shit. They love that shit. God. Okay. Vindicate Apparel, Partners, Hiller Collection, Sevan Pod. Wow, look at all these other people you have now. Coffee Pods. You're working with Pedro?
Oh, and fittest photographer.
Pedro?
I think that's Dave.
You're working. I really want to click this.
Meme for time.
I'm podcasting. I'm podcasting.
Who's that?
I can't tell you. They probably don't want anyone to know that they call me.
Got it.
I'm gonna go with Sevan Podcast. Wait, why? Look at this bullshit. Yours is called the Hiller Collection, and the rest of us are just douchebags. Yours has the word collection. That kind of like puts you like.
I was the OG. I'm at the top of the list too.
And what's this? You're before you. He was making shirts with you before me.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm kidding you.
No rep shirt. I think I introduced you to
Travis.
Yeah.
All right. Fine.
I think.
Fine.
Yeah, I totally did.
Fine.
Come on, man. You had that. You had what's the other ASRX? Remember? And I was like,
oh
dude,
yeah,
this guy's way better.
I still have ASRX.
Well,
I don't see the kid shirt on here, Travis. Travis.
No, that's a tank top.
Oh, here we go.
Is that Travis?
Oh shit, I'm disconnected. Son of a bitch. Hold on. Let me Bluetooth you up, Travis. Hold on. God, I have to pee so bad. Oh, it says I'm connected. Oh man, I'm gonna turn.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but that no one else can. Hold on. I'm hooking you up right now. Hello? Check 1 2.
Check 1 2.
Hold on. Wait. Oh.
You gotta get a fucking refund from Roadcaster.
It's so bad.
Jeez.
Disconnect.
Can you hear me?
So no, I don't know. Can you guys hear him?
I mean, barely.
They said barely. Hold on. I know this is.
He refers to me as a they now because I am not a man.
This is the
They.
this is the amateur hour for sure with my phone.
My pronoun is now they.
Okay, I'm gonna turn Bluetooth off. Turn it back on. Connect. Okay, here we go. This has got it.
Here we
Oh fuck. Nope. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't even have the option. Hey, let me call you back. Let me see what happens. What the fuck is going on here? Nope. I don't shit. Okay. I just have to take what the fuck is going on? The yellow phone. Okay, go ahead. It's not working, but go ahead. I have you. Okay, go ahead.
Oh,
So
no,
what's up?
I just wanted to find out if Hiller was present when you opened up that photo I sent you last night.
Yeah. Wait, photo.
The photo.
The photo.
The photo
Oh, of the clothing line?
of your new one, the one of one.
Oh, no. I haven't shown that to anyone. Nope, I haven't shown that to anyone. Nope. I will show it to him though. That's a good idea. I forgot.
And I don't remember which if it was the cart or the horse that came first when it was Hiller and you.
Shut
I
the
think I was
fuck
doing
up.
Hiller's shirts.
Damn, Hiller's
I don't
losing
know.
his shit. Hiller said, "Shut
I
the
know.
fuck."
I don't speak
So-
things like that unless I know
He
them as
swore.
fact.
He swore at you.
Travis.
I'm pretty sure.
can't hear you.
Yes. I did your shirts first, but I knew Sevan first.
Knowing of him doesn't mean that you had any contact with him / did any of his apparel before it. That was the topic of discussion, homie. You can't hear me.
He can't
Crap.
hear. He can't hear you.
I'm
Hiller,
just raging
hey,
over here.
that's the angriest I've ever heard Hiller. He's fucking losing his shit.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to.
Don't tell me I'm wrong.
I'm trying to hook you.
When it's,
I definitely did your shirts.
I know you probably knew him. That's fair.
I'm gonna have to
If you knew him, that's probably right.
I'm gonna have to reset the
Yeah,
whole
'cause I was-
phone.
I was talking shit about you.
Oh, that's fair
to
too.
Sevan before you two were even in cahoots.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm. How did you start doing the apparel? Can you
Which
hear me?
ones?
The Sevan podcast.
Oh, that was definitely through you.
That's what
'Cause-
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All right, rage switch off.
Rage done.
All right. Sorry, I'm hanging up on you, Travis. Not because of you, but because I just can't hold this phone like this anymore. Okay, bye.
Jessica, that's on my own show.
I'm losing my shit. Why do I buy the new shit and then it doesn't even work? I turned the phone off. I'm gonna reset the whole phone.
I don't know if I've clarified that though. Yeah, I don't swear on my YouTube channel. You do. The video I made of you today, you're swearing on it.
I don't even know if I should. I don't even know if I should go over to your. I should not go to your channel for a month.
A month. I think you're gonna love it.
I am.
Spicy Souza was good yesterday too. I've never seen him like that ever.
Could you tell I was drunk yesterday when I came home?
Man. If he wouldn't have, if I didn't know, I don't think I would have known.
Right.
But because I knew you were just 5% altered, which isn't crazy. I know people when they drink, they become 100% altered.
I was fucked up. I'm going over to your YouTube station.
Cool.
Hiller. Hey, dude, do you see how that hotel thing is fucking brilliant? I really do need to send that to him. You know what? I am going to send that to him. I'm going to play this really quick. I'm going to
Aaron, Ginn.
I think it starts at what?
I'm actually unsure.
105. Start this at 105. I'm going to tell him. Start this at Start at 105 to see. So basically, some of you may not be as impressed with it as I am, but I'm so impressed because it's an amazing kind of conflict resolution. And by the way, if anyone wants to like embark on the journey of what Aaron's talking about, just start saying no to things that you really mean no to, that you don't mean yes to. For instance, hey, can I borrow your car? No, you can't borrow my car. Or just tell the truth about things that you normally tell white lies about. Just stop doing that. Like when you're on the phone with Hiller and you want to get off the phone, don't be like, oh, my kids are calling me. Just be like, okay, I'll talk to you later.
Well, dude,
Bye.
what if you say no to everything and you've got to also say yes sometimes? There's those people too. They're too comfortable saying no to everything.
Oh, sure. Okay. But I'm just talking about the nice guy phenomenon, particularly just the nice guy. You mean like me, like how I just don't want to go anywhere? Like, no.
And yeah.
No. Oh God, my bladder might pop. I might not make it.
Yeah, dude. I never had to like go to the bathroom that bad. I bumped. Do you go just around the corner over there?
I just go in the grass right there.
I ran it inside.
That's cool. Someone wrote Sevy's way more fit than I thought. Jesus criminy.
I was like, dude, are you gonna pull it up or what? I'm just staring at you.
I'm a new man these days. No, I don't want anyone to know I read the comments. You guys are out of your fucking mind. Are you kidding me?
Dude, pull that up.
I know he was hurting, but that was impressive. What? You guys, what the fuck do you guys think I did? What?
Dude, editing is a mess.
Oh, you made me look special?
No, I mean, you do well.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. You did well.
I tell you the truth. So you can go over and watch that.
Burpees.
You can watch over. Oh, you put Troy in there?
Yeah, you love that movie.
I love that movie. Yeah.
Come on, man.
God.
Dude, play the intro. You're gonna.
This
die.
is like an homage. God, you're such a good dude.
Play the intro.
I cannot fucking believe.
Just
I
play
know
it like
you.
the first bit. This is
You're
good.
so fun. This is a fucking great week. I hate having people at my house. This is so fun.
Myrmidons, my brothers of the sword, I'd rather fight beside you than any army of thousands. Let no man forget how menacing we are. We are lions.
I think it's going to take me 20 minutes.
I look like Brad Pitt right there.
We are lions.
I think it's going to.
Yeah.
You like
Look at me looking out at the sea at the big ships coming to war.
Within context, I think that's funnier though, because it's like, no one forget how menacing you are. You are lions. This is gonna take me 20 minutes. Dude, it's supposed to take you 10 and less.
He basically, guys, listen, before anyone starts fucking getting all thinking I'm cool. That workout was supposed to take less than 10 minutes, and I said it'd take me 20. So he basically cut the workout in half. He basically took off the last 27 reps.
Not a half.
Half. So anyway,
2/3.
Anyway, that's enough of that.
Worst movie speech ever.
Oh, shut it.
Get out of your pool.
Shut
That is not correct. I can find a worse one.
Uh,
I just got to think a little bit harder.
I love that.
You ever seen
movie.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer?
Is that Quentin Tarantino?
I don't believe so.
Oh.
But I do know that there's a pretty bad speech that the people think is decent.
I really want to connect this roadcaster up. I want to try one more time. Let me see if I can.
Troy is a great movie. I think it's pretty underrated.
Can you hear that?
Very slightly.
Oh, damn.
I might be able to hear it just because you're over there.
God damn it. All right. Well, the phone's completely fucked now. I guess I have to turn the roadcaster off too.
Oh, Bram Stoker's Dracula. With Keanu Reeves.
Oh, I really like that movie though.
I really like Keanu Reeves. I got to watch Constantine. That's one I know is going to be good, but I've never seen it. Mostly because I've heard everyone just talk highly of it.
Hey, Ginn already watched it and loves it. He said that guy is a man beast.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. How you handled that, dude?
I was going to sign up for man school, but now I don't need to.
It's so good. All right. I want to pee and get ready. What are you going to do today? Are you going to come to the old escape park, or do you need to edit some videos, or what are you doing?
I'm actually, Kalipa invited me over at 3:30.
Oh,
I was going to ask if you wanted to go, but we
No.
haven't had a second yet.
no.
You don't want to go?
No. You
All
go.
right.
Are you going over the hill?
Wherever the hell that is. I don't know. I don't know where anything is. I just said, yes, I'm coming.
Okay.
How far away is that?
The problem is coming back.
Why? It's the same way, isn't it? It's not like a
No, because you're going to come. So
weird portal.
You're going to be going. You're just going to be going with traffic. It's going to be fuck coming back.
Oh, I like traffic. I can just listen to more stuff on the phone.
Okay, fine. All right, everyone. Day 2 of Hiller Week. Look, pool boy, yeah.
He gave me 40 minutes there, 90 minutes back. That's fine.
And I will see you guys. I don't know what's going on tomorrow, but it is Hiller Week. Are you coming up? I would love to have you on tomorrow too, if you'll have me.
Who we got?
If I'll have you.
Who we got?
I'm looking. Tomorrow's Thursday. Oh wait,
Yeah.
do I have any more shows tonight? No show tonight. Tomorrow's Jen Thompson. She holds the world record for bench press natural.
Done.
Yeah, she's cool. That's cool. Okay. I have to listen to a podcast with her and get caught up on her.
Yeah, in order to watch the show, you can't wear a shirt. Anybody. Heidi, that means you.
Definitely means you, Heidi. And then it looks
Trish.
like, oh shit. Let me see. Let me call. Oh, I can't call
Ken.
anyone on my phone. I want to call JR and Taylor and see if they're doing the show tonight.
Dude, there's this one guy in the comment section. You ever see? I wonder if I can find this.
What? I'm just gonna do this. I'm turning off the turn off. I just turned off the roadcaster.
All right.
Now, can anyone? Can you? Myself. Now can you hear anything? Everything's rebooting. Oh, I'll unmute Hiller too.
I can't hear anything.
Look at how's that? Now there's 2 Hillers. Oh, I can't even unmute you. 2 Hillers. Echo? You guys hear an echo? All right. How's that better? Are we back on?
I can hear you now. We're
Okay.
good.
You guys can hear now? Tin
back.
can? Everything good?
All right, here. There's this guy in the comments section who every time I see, this is what I think of.
No, I think we're back up. You guys can hear us now. Terrible audio, though? What are you talking about? Hold on. Audio. Oh, okay. Okay, I see. I see what's going on. Hold on. Better? Are we back? Are we back? Okay, here we go. A quick reboot.
See this?
Malcolm McDowell.
I got to see if I can find the guy who comments.
Is Malcolm McDowell from behind Orange, Clockwork Orange? Is that Malcolm McDowell?
I don't have an answer for you there.
Have you seen that movie, Clockwork Orange?
Mm-mm.
Hiller.
There it is, David.
Andrew.
Whenever I see David, this is what I think of.
Oh, wow.
And then Michael Myers and the Rob Zombie Halloween from 2007.
God, we went from God to Devil's Eyes.
Come on, guys. Everyone can see this, right?
Okay.
David, that's where you pulled that picture from.
Bluetooth.
I've never seen that movie, Clockwork Orange. When was it made? The 70s? You tried to show me some comedian.
Clockwork Orange. You have to see
in
that
a leather jacket.
It's like everyone knows. Oh, I tried to. He'd never heard of Andrew Dice Clay. Can you guys believe that? Can you hear that?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, let me see. Should I call JR or Taylor to find out if they're doing the show today?
Oh, they're doing one tonight?
I want them to. I want them to do the
I'd say call Taylor.
Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Why Taylor? I was gonna call JR, but I'm gonna call Taylor now because you said that Taylor self.
That's why I said call Taylor.
Taylor's gonna be busy. He won't answer.
Taylor's pooping. Oh, dude, Human Centipede. We should watch that.
No, thank you. I saw the trailer. I almost fucking vomited.
We're gonna have a camera pointed at us, and we're gonna watch it and just live react to the whole thing.
Oh my God.
It would be great.
I don't know why it's not calling. It says it's calling. Oh, maybe Taylor didn't pay his phone bill.
That's the first thing you thought of, eh? Not the Roadcaster still busted.
No, no. Oh, hello. Hello.
Yeah, it's still not coming through the
Oh
speaker.
my God, are you fucking kidding me?
Good thing this wasn't happening yesterday with Gazan on.
But you can hear this.
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm gonna try calling.
There's a third Clockwork Orange that I need to watch, or the third Human Centipede, Jake. Because I've seen that one too. It's decent. They're all good.
JR Howell.
Yes, Ken.
They're probably not answering this phone because they don't recognize the number. Oh, here we go.
There it is. Dude, all the Human Centipedes are worth watching. We should have a Human Centipede marathon. That's the one, Jake. I've seen it. Don't worry.
Oh, it's fucking gross.
Trish. I've seen that video. I've never seen the original then. Only the sequel. Mike, it's just how did that get to be a movie?
It's a fascinating concept.
What? The Human Centipede.
Oh shit! Did he answer, or was that his fucking cell? Was that his answering machine? Son of a bitch!
Now there's complaints that the phone is too loud. Couldn't hear. No, it's too loud.
How's that better?
Oh, you can do that. That's better.
Let's see. I couldn't tell if that was his answering machine or if he answered.
The Human Centipede, Eric. I know. Crickets. We should call Brian.
Oh, I have to teach Sousa this. Instead of stopping the sound effects, he needs to just lower them slowly.
Hi, you reached Sheriff Howell in the primary.
You ever seen this movie? This is a good sound effect. Hey, and by the way, Pool Boy, it's not called Walrus. It's called Tusk, and I've seen it. If it's what I'm thinking about, Jake. Dude, the movie Tusk is legit. Tell me if that's the one you're thinking about, Mike. Nope, it's called Tusk. I love that you tried to tell me to watch a movie, and I've actually seen the one, and you got the name wrong.
I have to call. Okay. Oh shit! My sister just sent a text to the family. Have you seen this video? And it's your fucking video of me.
Yeah.
Just crying out loud.
Dude, you would love the movie Tusk.
Me?
Yeah, but I don't think the boys can watch it. It might mess them up a little bit. That I would not leave that room the same if I watched that at their age.
Oh man. Well,
should we tell them the story about poker? Remember how there's a freak out at the you can't do that at the poker table. Something's gonna happen, and just a mental breakdown. I was like, whoa.
Okay, I'd like to hear your rendition of it. Go ahead.
That was Joseph, right?
Ari.
We're sitting there, and I think he was looking at cards, wasn't it? Something was happening, or he was reaching across the table.
He slapped Avi.
Oh, he slapped Avi in the middle of a poker game. Sevan walks up. He goes, dude, you can't do that at the poker table. You're going to get shot. And his entire face washes over. And he goes, I'm going to get shot. Like it was a real thing. Like I was sitting there with a gun and I was going to pop him. And he just couldn't reconcile the fact that he was not going to get shot. And I went, oh. This is what it's like to be a kid and just not know the difference between a figure of speech and reality.
He had a fucking complete meltdown.
Yeah,
he started crying.
I
had to hold him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is someone gonna shoot me? I'm like, no.
Haley walked in and he jumped on her. Mom, I'm gonna get shot. Dude, you're not gonna get shot. It's okay. Just don't smack people at the poker table.
You guys, how are these people not sponsoring me? My toes feel totally different after 2 hours of wearing these. Totally different.
Yeah, I wore those when I recorded in here too.
You did? That's disgusting. Hey, what do you think about that? Should he be sharing? I don't think anyone should show my toe space.
Should share toe spacers.
No,
They're
like
not needles,
toenails
man.
falling off and shit. Okay. I have to poop now too. My shit's all fucking.
You're gonna pop over there.
My shit's in movement. Yeah, I'm dancing. Okay, got the phone fixed.
You know, this wall's kind of nice. I leaned against it a little bit. It's pretty soft.
I guess I could let me call JR on this phone and see if he answers.
When you look at this on the internet, you think that this is a little bit tougher than it is. It's just foam.
Yeah,
it's nice.
It's so to make your voice sound deep.
I
tried to order more and I
just go to Home Depot, dude.
No, it's special. It's like double. It's like sticky on the other side.
Oh, well,
so I can just stick it on the wall.
I got glue.
I want to get some colored red and blue.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Different colored.
That will be cool
to meet the DEI requirements.
Yeah, a red one, a yellow one, a purple one, green, orange.
Hey, this is Taylor.
God, you guys suck, cock. It went from them asking me if they could do shows to me asking them if they could do shows.
That was quick. Wasn't it one show they did? Two. They've done two.
It's like, don't you think they should do a show tonight giving advice to it should be just to giving advice to the Euros. How to compete this week. Oh, my toes feel so good. Toe spacers. This is why Danielle Brandon's so hot.
Because of the toe spacers?
Yeah. Oh, God, I'm going to pop. Okay, fuck you guys. Thank you, Aaron Ginn, Andrew Hiller. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.